Hello, welcome to episode 15 of the Drew Publish Show. I've streamed 15 times in 15 days. The goal is to stream 100 times in 100 days. And we are starting off the streaming career. It's a slow burn. We're accepting that. I'm trying to start something different today. I'm going to try streaming at a time that's more friendly to American audiences, because actually probably like half my people on Twitter are probably actually in America these days. The world's been waiting for the Drew Pavlich Show. That's so true. A lot of people have been saying that. Very exceptionally true. Now, guys, before I get into it, I'm just going to share the link around a bit as well. So give me a minute if you can. I just got to share the video link around. I think I've got about 100 people watching live on Twitter, but it's a very small audience on YouTube right now. So I'm just going to share the link around. But today I'm going to be covering the exceptionally cringe New York Times article on Hasan Piker. I actually cannot even fucking believe how cringe it is. You would actually think that these people would be embarrassed, but unfortunately, they're actually not even embarrassed. It's actually exceptionally interesting. Yeah, so we're going to go into that today. Oh, gee, I just found out that there was a terror attack in Vancouver with 11 dead. That's sickening. I don't know. I'll need to read. Shit, the youngest victim was 5 years old. It was who was the suspect? Confident the incident was not an act of terrorism. Gee, that's what the police apparently is saying. Canadian election tomorrow, Drew. Yeah, look, I'll have to stream that live as well. That'll be interesting. Now, I'm just going to share the link around, guys. Give me a second. Do you think this is an all right time for American viewers? I think it's 9 p.m.-ish, around 9 o'clock in the East Coast and about 7 p.m., I think, on the West Coast. It's a pretty good time for me because it's actually just about midday here in Australia, so it's not very difficult at all. Just going to basically share the link around. Yes, we're awake. Good stuff, good stuff. The YouTube is quite small right now. We've only got about 5 people on YouTube, but I've got about 200 on Twitter. So I'm just going to be sharing the link around, guys. I just can't believe how fucking unbelievably cringe the Hasan Piker New York Times article was. I actually just cannot believe these people. I mean, did they get somebody? The writer maybe jerking himself while writing it? I mean, it was just sickening, really. It just really was embarrassing. Day 15 of the 100-day streaming challenge. The New York Times glazes Hasan Piker. Can it get any more embarrassing? No. Watch now. Oh fuck, hang on. Sorry guys, just posting the link. So we've got they changed. Oh, that's so cringe, man. The original title was so fucking funny. Hang on, I'm gonna get the original title up. They actually did change the original. They literally changed the title because it was so fucking cringe. 1 second, I'm gonna get it up. Twitter. Hang on, I'll quickly get up my Twitter, and I just want to show everyone the original title was so unbelievably cringe. Bunny Yuri coming up in Brizzy. Very well said. Very well said. The original, okay. A progressive mind in a MAGA body. Holy fuck. Literally the cringest thing ever. I think the writer was like jerking himself off as he was writing it. It's actually disgusting. A progressive mind in a MAGA body. Just so fucking not straight. It's not straight, is it? It's troubling to me to see how well the Islamic world has solved the fertility problem compared to developed secular nations. It's frustrating. Well, look, it's just like it just basically seems to be a product of poverty and development and modernization. Can it be even more cringe? I actually don't think can be more cringe. It's actually so unbelievably fucking cringe. Let me just quickly post the link one more time, my friends. Yeah, no, it's a shame because I think my YouTube is probably more Australian, but my Twitter is more American. So I'm getting more viewers from America. I'm getting less viewers from Australia on YouTube. So my Twitter audience is higher. My YouTube audience is a bit down right now. It actually is probably the gayest sentence ever written. I actually just think that's probably the case. And I'm not even saying that in a homophobic sense. I mean, I support the LGBTIQ plus community, but it is literally the gayest sentence ever written. And what can you even do about that? Okay, we're going to go through the article. We've got about 7 people on YouTube. Thank you guys for watching. If you're watching on my YouTube, please make sure to subscribe. We just hit 8,000 subscribers last night. It's a slow burn. Very happy. Crazy to call it a MAGA body when MAGA are literally the leaders of obesity in the country. Yeah, it's literally facts. Like, that's crazy. That's actually mental. Like, the average MAGA is like twice divorced, alcoholic uncle with massive beer gut. And they're like, Hasan Piker has a MAGA body. Also, just the pose is pretty gay. I have to say the pose is pretty gay because, like the open legs, it's kind of just like, I think it's just bait for his gay audience maybe. Because like, I think his audience is just all either gay men or maybe women. So, it's audience, it's maybe appealing to them, but this whole idea that he's appealing to men, is he really appealing to straight men? I don't know. I'm a straight man. I look at these articles and I think, no, I'm not a fan at all. The communist cowboy guy crashed out after your debate. I actually feel a little bit sad about that, Malaki. I actually feel a little bit sad. I mean, I remember when I was first starting out in politics and debating and stuff like that. I mean, I would have been crushed. I think I did smash him, but I mean, it's not really my fault. I mean, I didn't make any mean comments about him personally. I just was mocking his ideas, and he had a massive mental breakdown as a result of that, which is pretty sad. I feel bad for him. I have to say, I'm pretty bad. I feel pretty bad. Anyway, let's just go into the progressive mind and a body made for the manosphere. Yeah, he does seem like a nice bloke. I think he does seem like a nice bloke. I mean, I thought he was nice. He didn't say anything mean to me. He avoided personal insults. Cerinthius, howdy Aussie. Thank you, mate. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, look, it's interesting right now because I've got like literally more than 100 people watching live on Twitter. And like, I think cumulative audience is like 500 people on Twitter. But my YouTube numbers are way down. My YouTube numbers are like way down because most of my audience on Twitter is American, but my audience on YouTube is probably more Australian. Yeah, they literally changed the title. It is legitimately like the most gay thing I've probably ever written in history. A progressive mind in a MAGA body. I think it really is, seriously. It really is just probably the cringiest thing I've ever read. Hasan still looks like he sells MDMA to high school girls. Very well said. That's a great comment, Pickles LeBlanc. Well done. Well done. I completely agree with you on that. Oh, yes. Since I sent out my Discord link, we're getting a lot more people joining. Thank you so much, guys. You see the stuff his chat was saying in the screenshot of him by his computer in the article? Yes, we will get to that. It is actually insane. Steve says, "Good day, Champion Drew. Thanks, mate, for joining. I think you are, going on. I'm trying to reach an American audience with this live stream. I'm just testing it out because most of my people on Twitter these days are probably American. Most of my YouTube's Australian. Most of my Twitter's American. And I would like to try build up my streaming on. So I want to test it out at a time that's a little bit more amenable to American viewers because I think it's about 9 o'clock in America right now, 9:20. Where's the Discord link? I'll post the Discord link at the top of my Twitter. Guys, is it homophobic to say that it is the gayest sentence ever written? Because I'm actually not. I actually support LGBTIQ plus people. I'm fully against discrimination and stuff. But I just think I think it still is the case that whoever wrote a progressive mind in a gay body, in a MAGA body, is still like the gayest person to ever write an article ever. Probably. Join my Discord. Guys, my Discord is right at the top of my Twitter right now. It's 8 p.m. Central Time. Yeah. So it's better for American viewers, I think. Your usual stream is 4 a.m. Yeah. So I was normally streaming at nighttime in Australia time, which is like 4 a.m. for you guys. And look, most of my followers are in America. So I want to try stream at a better time for Americans. And look, it's actually a better time for me because I mean, if I could get into like a routine where like I was streaming, just middle of the day Australian time, and then I just get back to what I'm doing later. I mean, it's a good routine. Do you and Omar actually have beef? I'm going to debate him. I mean, I have beef with him in the sense that he wrote that members of Hamas are still part of the Palestinian nation. Like, it's pretty cringe. Yeah, guys, I just want your thoughts. Right? I made this tweet just then, and maybe I feel a bit guilty about it. Let's just think. I just want to think about it, right? So I wrote this tweet just before. By the way, guys, my Discord link is right at the top of my Twitter if you guys are watching. Okay, I think this is true. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to delete, but look, I think this is actually true. A progressive mind in a MAGA body. I would say that. Fuck. Why is this stupid promotion link in my way? Hey, doggy, come back. I'm looking after some doggies at the moment. This is my doggy Belle. She's very cute. Oh damn! It's annoying me. This stupid promotion link button. Just guys, share your thoughts. Is this homophobic to say this? I'm just saying, and I love the LGBTIQ plus community. I'm fully anti-discrimination, but a progressive mind in a MAGA body. I think it's true. You could watch gay porn 24/7 for the rest of your life and still be less gay than the person who wrote that sentence for the New York Times. I think that's actually like facts. Come on, like it is an exceptionally gay thing to write. I think it's just facts. Maybe I might take it down. I don't know. I'll leave it up. Let the people comment. Let the people talk. It is somewhat homophobic because you're using it as a pejorative. No, but we love the gay community, my friends. I'm just saying it is an exceptionally gay thing to talk about MAGA bodies. MAGA body. Man, it's not too bad. You're saying it's gay and it is very gay. It doesn't mean you hate gay people. Yeah, it doesn't mean I hate gay people. I love gay people. But it is exceptionally gay to just say a progressive mind in a MAGA body. It is exceptionally gay to say that. The other day in Destiny stream, he said he DM'd you, but you never replied. You should definitely reach out to him. Dude, I actually did. So I actually messaged Destiny on Twitter and also Discord. And I never got through to him. I'll message him again on Discord right now. Let's see if he's on. Hang on. Hey, bro. I've just messaged Destiny again. So I hope I've messaged Destiny a couple times now. I hope he'll put me on this stream. It's like a repressed, comically confused homosexuality sort of gay. I think it makes it funny. It's good. It's true. I think that's actually very true. Send him horse photos to get his attention. Does your own dog get jealous when you hold another dog? Mine do. Yeah, she does a little bit, but they're cute. They're very cute. She's just a puppy, Belle. She's a Labrador puppy, and she sits on my lap while I stream. It's very cute. We got about 10 people on YouTube. We've got 600 people on Twitter. Guys, if you're watching on Twitter, go to my YouTube because I'm trying to build up the YouTube. We just hit 8,000 subscribers, which is good. You know, we're starting out. On this stream, I'm going to go through the entire Hasan Piker cringe brigade. We'll watch Frogan's latest thing. That was exceptionally cringe too. I'm Guys, if watching on Twitter, go to my YouTube. We need to get more subscribers. All right. Okay. 16 people. Yeah, it's building up. It's building up. Good stuff. We need your in-depth analysis of the campaign and the election. Malaki, we'll actually debate on Thursday. How does that sound? Bruh, are you live right now? I am live right now. It's 11:30 in Australia, midday, and it's 9 p.m. East Coast, 8 p.m. Central Coast. I'm Central Time. I'm trying to stream it at a more America-friendly audience. Dogs are too needy. Cats are better. No, I love needy dogs. They're cute. I love when they sit on you. It's cute. Bro, I just checked that article. Congrats on 8K subs, Drew. You earned it. Thank you, guys. I'm trying to build it up. I hope somehow by the end of the year we can hit 100K. Clear it up that you're not being homophobic. I just want to say, guys, I'm not homophobic because Greeks invented being gay. I'm just going to write that. Just to be clear, it's impossible for me to be homophobic because the Greeks invented being gay. I'm just making an observation that writing an article about Hasan Piker's body is extremely gay. That's just facts, guys. Come on, that's just facts. You have to say that. The Greeks invented naked gay mud wrestling and being gay. I'm not a fan of that, but that was, what the Greeks invented back in the day. So I don't think it's possible for me to be homophobic. I'm just making an observation that writing an article about Hasan Piker's body is actually quite gay in lots of ways. Isn't it weird how Rogan, Wogan, and Frogan all exist? Well said. I was also thinking about this today. What a low for the New York Times. Drew, you should debate atheists like it's still 2007. Okay, I will. If you show me a good atheist to debate, I'll do it. What does the word progressive even mean? Is it a Hamas supporter in favor of progress? I don't think Hasan is in favor of progress. The tankies infiltrated New York Times brick by brick. That's actually true. Congrats on 8K. Thank you, Viet Tran. You only need to circle. No, don't say that. That's horrible. Banger. Congrats on getting over 8K subscribers on YouTube. Thank you, guys. It's a great milestone. We're building up slowly. I'm hoping against hope that somehow by the end of the year we can reach 100K. I really hope so because I'd love to be able to do this full time. It's good fun. I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. Now we're going to go to the article now. It is exceptionally cringe. Okay, let's read through the article. Okay. A progressive mind in a body made for the manosphere. Hasan Piker pumps iron, likes weapons, and wears pearls. His brand of masculinity has won him many fans online and has been a useful vehicle for his politics. Guys, let's be honest. I think most of his fans are gay or women. I think that's just the case. Like, has he really been winning men over in the manosphere? I don't think that's true. I think probably objectively, the majority of his audience is probably gay men and women, I think. And nothing wrong with that, but let's just be honest here. Hamas has more in common ideologically with jihadists than progressives. Yes, absolutely. You know what, John? How about you? I'm just gonna shit talk about Hasan for a while, but we should definitely do a live stream, John, maybe in the coming days ahead. What will you do for 10K? Oh, mate, yep, it's a tough one. Do you have a New York Times subscription? I do actually have one right now, but I'm thinking very seriously about canceling it over this insane cringe. Can you do it in a Southern American accent? The Greeks invented sex. The Romans figured out you could have it with women. Yeah, that's actually one of the best jokes, I have to admit. I'm Greek, but I admit that is a funny joke. Okay. A progressive mind in a body made for the manosphere. Hasan Piker pumps iron, likes weapons, and wears pearls. His brand of masculinity has won him many fans online and has been a useful vehicle for his politics. How's that, guys, for like a kind of like Southern accent? I think that's all right, right? I just subscribed to the New York Times. We love the comment section. The comment section is very funny. I had a comment from Nick Shadegg who's attacking me. He's going, "You're losing viewers. How is that even possible?" His friend responds, "A lot of Drew's audience is in high school." No, that's actually not true. We're not losing viewers. We've got 20 people watching right now, and we're going to build it up. We got Black Cowboy Drew before GTA 6. Hasan Piker thinks being a man is simple. Like many of the successful internet personalities who appeal to a generation of young men. Dude, who are the young men watching Hasan who are fucking straight? I don't think that's actually objectively true. I don't think there are straight guys who watch Hasan. I'm just saying it's a fucking fact. I'm sorry. Okay. Like many of the successful internet personalities who appeal to a generation of young men, Mr. Piker, a 33-year-old Twitch and YouTube streamer, is a bro. Who said he's a fucking bro? Very American. Peeps won't be able to tell you're not from Louisiana. It's a great accent, isn't it, guys? Can some explain the wears pearls thing to me? Do they mean like a pearl necklace? Wink, wink. Who knows? That's very disturbing to me. Hasan Piker likes weapons, inhales inhales supplements, uses nicotine pouches, and ruminates endlessly on the legacy of LeBron James. But unlike many of his contemporaries, Mr. Piker, an avowed socialist, is just at ease dressing in French maid drag as he is on a basketball court. I saw the article but didn't read it. I thought it was Democratic that might appear on Joe Rogan. I'm not sure what the manosphere is. By writing that, they imply that the left has a horribly demasculized appearance except for Hasan's fans. Yeah, it's actually so fucking sad, guys. If this is like the state of masculinity on the left, we're fucked. We're fucked. And I'm saying that as somebody who hates Trump, who wants a sensible center-left coalition to rise to power. If he dresses in drag, then he is gay. Oh, but you don't understand, bro. Like, but this is the thing. There are some girls who like that, for example. There are some girls who love soft boys and they love guys who like put black fingernail polish on them and stuff like that. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. We all know this. This is actually just a fact. The guys who do the fingernail painting and the soft boy stuff, like those guys are like massive threats to women. That's just a fact. That's just a fact. Like Hasan is propped up like a voice for Gen Z when the guy is pushing 35. Dude, that's fucked. That's fucked. Come on, I'm 25 right now. Hasan's literally 10 years my age. Pickles LeBlanc, $2. Bravo, sir. Thank you for donating, guys. Guys, we all need you to donate because my rent is fucking expensive here. It's like $900 a week. I need your support so we don't go out onto the street. Guys, this is like Hasan. This is literally Hasan. 1 second. I'm just going to show you. This is like the type of guy that for some reason a certain type of girl likes this, like the art hoes, I suppose, the art e-girls, the bisexual arty boy. And like, you know, they like doing all this shit. And fair enough, you know, express yourself. But let's just be honest. Those guys are very, very likely to rape you. It's fucked up. It's fucked up. It's fucked up. But honestly, the guys who make a big show and dance of being like really soft and I'm not like the other guys and I wear fingernails, finger paint on my fucking nails. Guys, those are like the threats. Those are the threats to women. It's actually fucking scary. Like if you have a guy who paints his fingernails black or something like that, like probably 10 times, 100 times more likely to rape somebody. I think they need to do studies on this. Like just the guys who are like really, really over the top about being like, you know, like I'm not like the other guys. Like I'm masculine, but I'm comfortable being feminine too. I paint my nails. Like those guys are threats to women. Most likely they've raped somebody. Just facts. I'm only speaking facts right now. And I wish it wasn't the case. I hate rape. I hate rapists. But unfortunately, the sort of like the arty, I paint my fingernails black type guys, they are fucking threats to women. They are threats to women, massive threats to women. I'm just going to post the link one more time, guys. We're building up the audience on Twitter, which is good. We're now at more than 20 people. Just gonna slowly build this up. I'd love to get to a point where we've got about 100 people watching. That'd be great. We've got more than 100 people watching on YouTube, on Twitter, but to build that up would be really good. Okay, so we'll go back. I'll go back to it. We've had our digression. I've got to go back to it. So 24 people watching live now on YouTube. Thank you, guys. Please subscribe. It's a very important thing. Maybe chuck in $2 like Pickles LeBlanc. Maybe chuck in $2. Help me with my rent. Would you kiss Hasan on the lips to assess whether he was into it? No. That's disgusting to me. That thought is disgusting to me. And I have a GF. Please, guys, don't talk like that. It's fucked up. Okay, going back to this. In the 6 years since he started his daily online broadcast about culture and politics, Mr. Piker has become a streaming star. He has about 4.5 million followers combined on YouTube and Twitch, the platform widely popular with Americans who came of age during the COVID-19 pandemic. Keep the lights on. JD Vance bisexual eyeshadow. Yeah, that's a Hasan Piker type thing. The JD Vance bisexual eyeshadow. And those guys are threats to women. Those guys are threats to women. Malaki, if you actually thought that joke was me being serious, you're actually retarded. I had a joke where I was like mocking like the sort of Andrew Tate guys who are like really, really scared about like being perceived to be gay. And I was mocking those types of guys. And I was like, guys, I got locked in the fucking gay nightclub in the Valley for like 10 hours. It was horrible. And some people thought I was being serious. It was actually very funny, to be honest. That was a pretty funny one. Okay. In the most reductive way, it just comes down to confidence, man. That's what people are talking about when it comes to masculinity. They're talking about confidence. That confidence carries over into Mr. Piker's discussions of politics. On his streams, conversations about dating, gaming, or exercising often turn into rants supporting organized labor, universal healthcare, and LGBTQ plus rights. He would just frequently pivot from criticizing the Democratic Party or the Israeli government to slamming right-wing comedians. Dude, I love how they just say that he's like criticizing the Israeli government like it's just a critic when he actually fully supports like fucking Houthis and Hamas. Would you kiss Hasan if he was in a maid's dress and the lights were dark enough when you couldn't tell he was a guy? That's fucked up, man. That's fucked up. You became Canadian or New Yorker or something. I gotta maybe, dude, I haven't been to America since 2019. I do actually want to go to America, but do you think I'd be detained at the border by like MAGA? It'd be kind of scary. This fluency between culture and ideology has led many to brand Mr. Piker a Joe Rogan of the left. Who the fuck is saying that? Who the fuck is saying that? Seriously. If Mr. Rogan had a mopped up and painted his nails, not a single person has said Hasan is the Joe Rogan of the left. Not a single person. Come on. Come on, guys. This is fucking ridiculous. Mr. Piker in his studio earlier this year, he knows his success on camera has been partly aided by the way he looks. Hell yeah, bro. You become a martyr forever if you get detained, so win-win. Amen, amen. They're very factually true. Can you believe how fucking unfair it would be if I got like martyred out of everybody? There are fucking insane Hamas supporters in America, and I get martyred. That's be fucking ridiculous. Joe Rogan of the left, a deeply closeted gay podcaster. Facts. There's no way this guy is the Joe Rogan of any left. Yet not a single person has said that. I've never heard a single person say that he's the Joe Rogan of the left. Joe Rogan of the left, maybe in terms of their cult-like fans. I've never heard a single person call him the Joe Rogan of the left. Never. You called Trump Mao, detained. That was a good article, guys. That was a good audience. Mr. Piker's success on camera in some part has been aided by the fact that he is, by conventional standards, a very handsome man. Can you glaze him more? Can you glaze him more? This is the cringiest article I've ever read. Just literally just ask Hasan straight up, will you have gay sex? That's what the guy writing the article wants. Why didn't the guy writing the article? Okay, this is the equivalent. Oh, sorry, doggy. You know those articles where it's like a horny, like middle-aged man will like be like interviewing like a young, attractive female actress or something like that, and like they'll be writing like really cringe prose, going like, wow. You wouldn't even, her sex drips off her body, and everyone makes fun of it online. But this is literally the equivalent of that for gay men. Like, come on, guys. Come on. He doesn't support the LGBT when he downplays what Nasrallah says about them. Like, yeah, isn't it fucking crazy? Like, Nasrallah said that, like, he hated gay people, and then Hasan's like, oh, bro, Nasrallah's really good. I don't have a problem with him, man. Hasan is a Nepo baby from a billionaire family, from right-wing political family in Turkey, LARPing as a champagne socialist. All the groups he supports are right-wing. Yeah, facts. Literal fucking facts. Guys, I might just quickly pause the stream to go to the bathroom very quickly. I'm going to invite some people into the live stream. Who should I invite on, guys? Who should I invite on? I'm sending some questions around. Guys, I'm gonna do a Hasan Piker and just do a chair stream for like a couple of minutes because I gotta go to the bathroom. Richard Hanani and Destiny. Um, what should I invite Ibuku? I can. Willie Mac show. Actually, I'll ask him too. Let me see, guys. Let me see. Guys, what should I leave playing on my screen when I go to the bathroom? Because I'm not gonna. This is the cringe shit. Gains, guns, and gay culture. Oh my god, man. Oh my god. Actually, maybe I will ask Anani on. Dude, look at this, right? This was on his screen. Mr. Piker, who fasts daily as part of his fitness routine, usually has his first meal around 2 p.m. And then look at the screen in the background, just casually just raping Jewish people. Fucking hell, so psycho. Yeah, okay. Hasan Piker, empty chair, live stream for 5 minutes as I go to bathroom. Okay, guys, I'm just going to leave the screen on, empty chair for a couple of minutes. I'm just going to go to the bathroom. Wow, that's crazy, chat. That's crazy. Okay, give me like 2-3 minutes, guys. I'll be quick. Okay, guys, I'm back. I'm sorry for the Hasan Piker empty chair moment. I had to go to the bathroom very quickly. I just want to say, anybody who tuned out during that moment, fake fans. You gotta stick through the live empty reactions. Ryan, how are you going, man? Thanks for joining us. I'm trying to stream at a more friendly North American time today, and I'm going to continue that probably. Wow, great stream. I just had to quickly get a drink of water and go to the bathroom, guys. I'm sorry. Come on, guys. It's very hard being a streamer. As Hasan Piker said, this is one of the most difficult professions in world history, probably. I'm working on my SSL certificates for a server anyway. I hate it. What does that involve? Now, guys, I'll send you. I'm gonna bring Counterpoints Connor on. He's a never Trump Republican. I'm just going to send him a stream link. Just why not? I just want to have more people join us. It's good fun to chat with people. Wow, bro, that's crazy, chat. Okay, hang on. I'm just going to send a link out to join me. Yeah, Connor's cool. Yeah, guys, look, what an amazing time it is. What an amazing time it is. Okay. Would you box Hasan for charity? I would, but you'd have to give me 12 months of repair. I have to say, I'm not necessarily the fittest right now. And look, he also has about 4 or 5 inches in height on me, which is a shame. I mean, what can you do on that? I'm 80 kilos. He's 110 kilos, I think he said. So there's a bit of a weight difference and a bit of a height difference. I'm like 5'11". I was cursed by nature to be like 2-3 centimeters short of like being 6 foot. Very, very cursed. So unfortunate. Like I could just say I'm 6 foot, but I'll be honest. Like I'm like 2 centimeters off. I'm like 5'11". And I think he's 6'4". So it'd probably be a bit of an unfair fight. You could fight dirty, throw sand in his eyes, be bitchy, have claws out. Connor is going to join, so that's going to be great. 5'11" gang, yeah, rise up. We're cursed by nature. It's very unfortunate. If we wear boots, we could be 6 foot. Good stuff. 5'11" gang, yeah, absolutely. So let's get back into it. I haven't even finished the article yet. Okay. It's the one aspect that many of my haters can't shake, bro. They can't turn around and be like, you're not hot. His physique is the result of an intense fitness regimen that, on a sunny morning in January, involved repeated sets of squats with a 275-pound barbell, Romanian deadlifts, and walking lunges. Would HS with Hasan, if it would turn him into an honest Westoid liberal, trolley R dilemma? What do you mean, would you HS? Do you mean like fight or like hang out with? Or dude, I only hate him because he's a fucking tanky. I only hate him because he's like a fucking Marxist-Leninist and he like cheers on Russia and Ukraine. He cheers on China repressing Tibet. Like this is the fucking annoying thing about hating Hasan, right? Like you get people going, oh, you're against Hasan, so you're against universal public healthcare. It's like, no, I like universal public healthcare. I'm Australian. I like that stuff. Like my views on economics would probably be center left in America. It's just that I don't like him cheering on fucking Hamas and the Houthis. Hope you stream more, Drew. Got to beat them Pisco numbers. Yeah, no, Pisco's actually killing it right now. I've subscribed to him. He's getting like 1,000 people a stream. Look, I'm really new to YouTube. I've only really been giving it a real red hot crack the past 2 months. And I started doing a stream every single day. So I'm 15 days into this challenge. I want to try to stream every day for 100 days. Hopefully that'll get my viewership up. If you guys have any tips on boosting it, it'd be really good. Have sex, bro. Piss me. Oh, would you have sex with Hasan? No. I'm not. Bro, I've got a girlfriend. Please. Pisco's been streaming for several years. So when did Pisco start and how did he start out? Because I only really became aware of him in January, but he's killing it at the moment. As a Greek, have the courage for hating him for being a Turk. No, I'm not actually like that. Although it is funny that he's Turkish and I'm Greek. It is actually a really funny, like, it's funny that it's just like an ancient rivalry. Like, we're both diasporoids, so I'm Australian, he's basically American, even though I hate him. And like we actually hate each other over like Western political issues, but it's funny because it's like the revitalization of like, yeah, the ancient Greek versus Turkish rivalry. Pissman also got popular by going on Destiny. I do really want to go on Destiny. I've messaged him again. Just so you don't like him because he likes Hezbollah. No joke. I think you can call Nick Fuentes anti-Semitic if you like Hezbollah. If you can't call Nick Fuentes anti-Semitic if you like Hezbollah. Yeah, he likes Hezbollah, and they're fucking insane. Oh, did Pisco actually start 8 years ago? Damn, I didn't realize. Nah, man, I'm not talking about my personal life on here because every time I've ever talked about my personal life with my family and my GF and all this stuff, they get death threats and they get doxed and stuff. So I just try to keep that private, right? Like I encourage everyone who hates me to hate me and just fucking attack me and fucking hate me as much as you want, but just leave innocent people out of it, right? But do you as a Greek have courage for hating him for being a Turk? No, I don't hate him for being a Turk. But he only started regular streams like 2-ish years ago. When Pisco started out, did he have similar viewers to now, like 20 people? Because look, I have to say, it is kind of sad, like having only 20 people, but I'm just trying to remember, I am starting out. We love you, Drew. Thank you, KL. Pisco was a guest on Destiny streams, but branched out on his own channel. Nice. Create a new YouTube channel for your live streams and clips. Streaming and videography on the same channel hurts you in the algorithm. Is that actually true? Is that true that it actually does hurt you in the algorithm, guys? The problem is that if I do it on a new channel, I'll have like 10 subscribers there and I'll get like literally no one watching. If you're concerned about the size difference in a fight, you could try to develop some kind of drop bear fighting style. Amen. Or UFC sort of stuff. It's just a joke. I used to be a big donor to Prime KS. Who's Prime KS? He had lowest numbers back last year. How much did he have back then, Pisco? Pisco got Destiny sharpness mixed with his own sharp lawyership. I'm studying law as well, guys. Gotta remember that. Like even 1 year ago, his Twitch stream had like 30 maybe. True. Look, I hope I can, if I could end the year trying to like matching Pisco's numbers where they are now with how he's getting 1,000 people, I'd be so happy, right? He's doing really well. Find someone bigger than you to suck up to. Look, man, I like Destiny. I like Ethan Klein. We've got pretty similar views, I suppose. So, quite sad about the election. Looks like Albo's going to win. I just think, oh, Connor's joined. Okay, guys, I'm going to bring on Connor. Okay. Connor, how are you going, man?
It's going great. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thanks for joining. Sorry for the late notice. I was literally just, I'm starting to do streaming. This is like my 15th day in a row. And I've got pretty low numbers right now. You should boost it out to your friends as well. But
I will absolutely. I was going to make a joke as soon. Well, I mean, it's good to finally talk to you on video, I guess. Yeah. But the way that I know of Drew Pavlou, I guess, is he's just one of the strongest liberal. Do you mind if I say profanity?
Oh yeah, of course, man, of course, yeah.
Okay, yeah, one of the strongest liberal shit posters on God's green earth. You know, like all I see, I wake up and like 10% of my feed is Drew Pavlou pissing off all the right people. So it's pretty great.
Awesome. Thank you for that. That's very kind of you. And I see that you're a never Trump Republican. I respect that. We need to have patriotic conservatives. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. I appreciate you coming on at very last notice. Like I literally asked you 10 minutes ago. Yeah, we've just been following each other on Twitter, and I'm trying to get into YouTube, man. And unfortunately, I'm pretty small right now, only like 8,000 subscribers or whatever.
What I would say is my biggest channel is a Warhammer 40K channel because unfortunately my Warhammer outperformed my politics. But I am getting into politics pretty aggressively, and what I would say is it's a wide open category. There's lots of really stupid people who are really successful, and so as a result, I would just say you got to grind it out,
dude. That's exactly my thoughts, right? Because like I'm looking at half these people, dude. I was watching Hasan Piker, like he was doing a countries of the world thing, and he couldn't even he didn't even know where Yemen was, like literally. Like right before October 7th, he couldn't even put Yemen on the map, right? And he says dumb shit all the time. Oh, honestly, I genuinely think, like, I was watching Denims, like Denims was fucking like brain dead. Like some of these guys, man.
My favorite part. So well, actually, this is part of the reason why I jumped on so fast, because Drew was like, "Hey, you want to talk shit about Hasan Piker?" And I was like, "Ooh, my favorite."
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
you know, I do. The wife does want me to be off in an hour, but I'll try to
Oh no. So
chat a
how old
healthy
is
chunk of
Connor?
smack in the meantime. What's that?
How old are you, Connor?
I'm late 30s.
Oh,
So
okay, nice. And you've literally got like a wife at home. Good on you, man. Look, I'm a lot younger than you, but that's the goal one day. You know, that's nice.
yeah, no, I got a wife, 2 kids, 2 dogs, and then
Oh,
hopefully
nice,
in
man.
a
Bro,
year or
it's
two,
awesome.
if all the bills are paid, then maybe we'll have a third kid. So pray
Oh
for me
man,
in that
nice,
regard.
bro. That's awesome. Honestly, God
But
bless her.
I
That's
did want to talk a little bit of shit about denims and Frogan and
please do, yeah,
Mike
bro.
from PA
Please do.
while we're at it. So that's the thing is what's crazy is looking at the numbers that these people get, right? Because it is like
Yeah.
few hundred at minimum with Frogan. It's a few thousand with denims. It's a few thousand with I think Mike from PA gets a few thousand viewers as well. And
The Hassan waiting room, man. The Hassan waiting room.
but dude, that's what I'm thinking to myself, because whenever I watch a commentary guy, okay, because I like drama. I'm not gonna lie, I like drama.
Yeah.
So I'll watch like a Nick or a Nick Diorio stream, and he's watching like a Hassan or a Denims chat, and like their stream, it's dead air for like 30 seconds at a time, and then when they're watching something, they pause it intermittently, and they're just like, "Huh, that's
Yeah.
cool," or they're like, "Huh, that's bad," and then it's like,
Yeah, I
"Wait,
know.
is this content? Is this what you guys are used to?" Like,
These
that's
people suck,
terrible.
right? These people suck. This is literally why I'm trying to start up with live streaming and all this stuff. Because like I just look at these guys, I'm like, I could literally do better. Like I'm
Yeah,
starting to feel, but holy shit, these guys.
the bar's on the floor, so hopefully
Dude, Hassan,
we
like,
can do a little bit better in the long term.
dude, Hassan just sits there and he's just like watching stuff. It's funny because I had to go off the stream for like 2 minutes to go to the bathroom just before, and I just like left an empty chair, and I was like,
Hassan
just
stream.
Hassan, yeah, the
Hassan
Hassan
waiting room. Listen, and I've been streaming a lot more recently. I'm streaming like 25 hours a week on something called the Valor Media Network.
Okay, I
And
don't
it's
know what that is.
basically, yeah, it's an offshoot of Midas Touch. It's brand new. It's probably less than 60 days old. It's a little boomery, but we're working on it. And effectively, it's a bunch of first responders, military veterans, all that kind of stuff, who are getting around and talking about life, self-improvement, all that kind of stuff. And
Nice.
yeah, exactly, Western hegemony enjoyer. So that's the I started streaming over there, and I was like, man, do I need to get like dumber? Do I need to like talk less? Because like maybe that's the recipe for success. I have no idea.
I don't know. I actually don't know, dude. I saw in America the top podcasts are like Tucker and Candace, and it's like, what the fuck's going on over there, man?
Dude, and so Holes, here's the thing though, they put a lot of effort into their stupidity, if I can chat some more shit. So like Tucker is interesting because I haven't really taken down a lot of his stuff just because it's really dry. But I've watched a few Candace episodes, and it's legitimate like Nazi apologia, schizophrenia, or like borderline like flat Earth. Like be skeptical about everything stuff. And it's like it's getting hundreds of thousands of views, and I'm just thinking to myself like, who are the hundreds of thousands of morons who are watching this stuff? Maybe that's my problem. Maybe I'm too judgmental. I don't know.
Dude, I think honestly, like part of it, this is funny, right? I started off like a couple of years ago. I used to be much more like sort of populist in my outlook, and I hated like elitism and stuff like that. But now I'm coming along to the kind of like Hanania worldview where it's like you just need to tell stupid people they're stupid. Like just straight up say like, okay, like the MAGA cult is fucking stupid. It's like primitive. It's fucking barbaric. It's a cult. Like people need to be fucking shamed for being dumb. Like I don't know. Like
it's a double-edged sword. The reason. Yeah, so it's a double-edged sword in the regards that I am that way. That's to be honest, it's part of the reason why I was a Republican, because I was told when I was growing up that Democrats effectively are the people who, if they were in a school election, they would be like pizza every day, free ice cream, like all that kind of stuff. So effectively, like Democrats are buying off their constituency by offering them goodies. Whereas Republicans are the adults in the room who are sober and making value judgments and doing what's best for the country and all that kind of stuff. And my parents were earnest believers in that. But in the past decade, the Republican Party has been gutted and turned into the dumbest facsimile of what even the ideals of republicanism are. That they don't even pretend to have them anymore. It's actually insane. My dog wants to come in, so I'm still listening, but I'm going to let my dog in the room.
Of We'll do the Hasan empty chair thing for a second. No, dude, look at MTG. Look at fucking MTG. I'm gonna bring up her Twitter thing right now.
Yeah.
It's just so dumb. Some of the shit. Like she was gloating over like Pope Francis dying. Like what the fuck? Like, oh yeah, like Bill Gates wants to block out the sun. Like I don't like where does this shit come from?
Well, so there's a geoengineering thing. Well, she's legitimately stupid. So before I even try to steel man her, I should call her dumb. There is something to be said for Bill Gates legitimately caring about climate change to the point that he has invested. I've seen him talk about nuclear technology where he wanted to do like thorium reactors, which is like a way to burn more waste in nuclear reactions. Apparently there was one thing about like climate engineering to try to increase clouds in order to reduce the impact of the sun, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but they do treat pretty much anybody who cares about climate change as this like Machiavellian James Bond figure who's on the verge of taking over the world and killing us all. So yeah, and there is a rivalry between evangelical Christians and Catholicism. As a matter of fact, Protestant Americans sometimes will tell you that they think that Catholicism is a kind of paganism.
Yeah, so funny. It's actually hilarious. Like, it's actually a shame, right? Because like, there's some aspects of Catholicism that I quite like, and like, because I'm Greek Orthodox, and I respect that within some parts of Catholicism, there's a good intellectual tradition and everything. But then you get people like JD Vance who like fully like bastardize it, all that stuff. But like, yeah, I don't know, like when you compare it to sort of like American televangelists sometimes where you've got like these massive sort of like they look like they play in like basketball arenas and stuff like that, and like sometimes
they do.
Yeah, and the way they talk about like Trump as like a servant of God and stuff, it's like I look at it, I'm like, how's this Christianity? It literally looks like a different religion sometimes.
Prosperity gospel is a blight on American society for sure, and it's effectively like God will reward you based off of how earnest you are, right? Like based off of how much your faith is, and so as a result, if I'm wealthy as the priest or the preacher or whatever, that's just God rewarding me for being bullshit. Yeah, and so it becomes this perpetual cycle where the richer and more extravagant that these preachers get with prosperity gospel, if they buy a jet while their parishioners are starving, they're like, oh yeah, this is just God rewarding me for being in His good graces. And honestly, I think these people, if there is a hell, they'll be burning in it once we pass from this mortal plane, because I can't think about another way. Talk about like taking God's name in vain. I can't think of a worse way to take God's name in vain except for rape and murder. Besides this.
Yeah, dude, I actually fully agree with you. It's actually so unbelievably sad. Like, look at this, for example. And one thing I did respect about Francis is that like he lived in like quite modest circumstances despite the overwhelming wealth of the Vatican. Like it's just such a big contrast to like the Joel Osteen type people. Should we go through the Hasan Piker?
I do. I desperately want to, because I had Democrats. So again, like I'm like the token never Trump Republican. So I get added to like group chats or whatever. They're like, "Hey Connor, look, your boy made the New York Times," and I was like, "Fuck you." Excuse my French, but this is so cringe, and it's so toxic, and it's so bad.
It's so bad. It's so bad for the Democrats. I honestly think that these guys should be treated like the MTG of the left. Like they need to be like quarantined by the Democrats because they're such toxic figures.
But here's the thing though. I think that the Democrats, including AOC and Bernie, I'm not trying to dog on too many people. I know you're kind of like liberal or whatever. But
they have met with him, and it's sad.
And the reason why is just because they see the numbers, right?
Yeah.
They see the numbers. They know that tens of thousands of young people watch this guy. They know that they can reach hundreds of thousands of people by going onto the stream. And so as a result, it's an easy way to break into alternative media. Effectively, I think that if Destiny, Vosh, and Hasan eliminated their sex scandals, they could probably get into any political room that they wanted to.
dude, that's the funny thing. Why do they all have sex scandals? Like, I like Destiny, but why are they all like this?
Because they're egomaniacs, and like, you know, I have a friendly relationship with Destiny, but they needed a certain level of ego in order to achieve the success that they did. And what comes along with that is thinking that you're amazing, and then what comes along with thinking that you're amazing at all times is you're going to do weird sex shit.
I know. No, it is a shame. Look. In that sense, I actually am a bit more conservative, right? Because, like, you know, I've got a long-term GF. I just live a pretty standard. Like, I don't really do anything crazy in my life. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do anything really. I mean, apart from my YouTube stuff, I'm basically just chilling at home most of the time. So, like, or someone asked, does Hasan have a sex scandal? I mean, he boasted that he went to like a German brothel that later got raided by like German authorities for sex trafficking. So,
well, and hold on, it gets a little bit more aggressive than that, as far as I can tell. So actually, there's two things. So in reference to Artemis is the name of the German sex club that he boasted about going to.
Artemis. And so
so he had sex with presumably at least one prostitute at Artemis. And then also since then, because his audience will give him shit for it, because obviously, like, you know, the sex industry is famous for having people who are sex trafficked. And so a leftist who's fighting for the proletariat, paying for sex to a prole in order to gain sexual access is kind of crazy. Well, what also happened is the brothel got raided by German authorities. Well, the German authorities, before the trial happened, they said that it was run by the Hells Angels, that it had evaded taxes, and that there were accusations of like physical abuse and sex trafficking. And so the way that Hasan will characterize this is he'll say, oh, well, all they were really doing was tax evasion. And so as a result, the German government apologized to them. So it's really not that big of a deal. But if you actually read the story, that's not what happened at all. What happened was the prosecutors were so aggressive talking shit about Club Artemis before the trial date, and they weren't able to substantiate enough of it in court, that effectively Artemis was able to sue them and get paid $250K as a result. So there was still the accusations of, sorry for yapping, but there were still the accusations of sex trafficking and physical abuse and associations with the Hells Angels and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't just a tax evasion case. That's the way that Hasan and Hasan Sims characterize it.
Yeah, that's honestly, I've got it here. Like, one of these women had talked to the police about her abusive pimp, a former professional football goalie who'd be convicted of trafficking, coercion, extortion, and sentenced to 7 years in prison. Like, the person who was charged with the Turkish goalkeeper, beautiful. I mean, it's really fucked up, actually. And it wasn't just that as well. I mean, he had a tweet in 2012 talking about going to a Diddy party and shit like that. And
you beat me to it. That was gonna be my number 2. So you already took it.
Like, I mean, I've clowned on it a lot. I mean, it's funny because he tries to like frame all this stuff in terms of him being like sex positive and stuff like that. Like, he supports sex workers, but it's like, dude, it's really, really abusive. It's really fucking like exploitative.
Listen,
traffic. It's crazy.
If he wants to frame it that way in order to cope, that's totally fine. What I don't like, though, is that I think tens of thousands of young people like him and they buy into the cope. That's my problem. So if you want to say, hey, Club Artemis did some messed up stuff, I went there, you know, or Hasan went there, not me. But Hasan went there, and you know, I didn't really think about it at the time. You know, I was kind of crazy. I wanted to see what was going on. Blah 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 blah. You can put it that way, but then people can criticize you 100%. And so as a result, I think he needs to take those hits on his chin, and his audience needs to stop simping for him and pretending that he's infallible.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. It's funny because like they actually, we got a comment here by Viet Tran. The original title was even more cringe. It was A Progressive Mind in a MAGA Body. And then they had to change it because everyone was clowning on them so much. Like, oh my God. Like,
yeah, it's like every liberal, is every progressive a lazy piece of shit that never works out? Like, it's like a crazy thing to say in the New York Times. What did you do?
That's the funny thing, because like MAGA isn't necessarily known for like, you know, its commitment to health. Like, you know,
no, it's Walmart. I'm sorry to Walmart people. I shop at Walmart on occasion, but it's Walmart people. Okay, there's a website called Walmartian, and it's people who barely look human because their bodies and faces are so weird. And I'm not going to lie, that's a substantive part of MAGA.
I mean, that's a big part of it. And I think a lot of people had to point that out to the New York Times. It was like, yeah, the average MAGA person is like not very healthy at all. You can even just see that in statistics. Oh my God, I just love this part where they're basically saying that okay, it's like So he's like,
I was about to say, do you want to read it from the beginning until you cringe, and then we'll stop and then we'll riff? Because honestly, I'm down for that.
Let's do it. Okay. Hasan Piker thinks being a man is simple, like many of the successful internet personalities who appeal to a generation of young men. Firstly, I have to say, like, is his audience even young men? I think his audience is like mostly like women and gay guys. Like, I don't know if he's like, I don't think he's going into like the manosphere, is he? Like,
I don't know. I don't want to dog onto him too much because I can't see his internal demo stuff. But yeah, I think there's enough young men that I care to criticize. Let's put it that way.
Fair enough. He's actually a bro. He likes weapons, inhales supplements, uses nicotine pouches, and ruminates endlessly on the legacy of LeBron James. But unlike most of his other contemporaries, Mr. Pike, an avowed socialist, he's not even really a socialist, man. He's not like, this is another thing I was going to say. You get attacked so harshly if you go after him. They go, oh, why do you hate public healthcare? He's just a moderate guy who likes public healthcare. It's like, dude, he's actually worse than a socialist. He's like full on like endorsed what China does to the Tibetans. He's endorsed. He's
a tanky apologist.
Dude, the other day he was defending North Korea. North Korea.
He did. What did he do? He did Adam Friedland or something like that. I forget. Some show. And they were asking him about the Ukrainian-Russian conflict, and he was like, "Oh, I don't take anybody's sides because realistically, the Ukraine is just being backed by the United States State Department." And it's like, okay, so what you're really saying is that you won't back Ukraine, which is a country that is coming westward, that is becoming more liberal, that does want to liberalize its markets, but you're doing that because they are becoming more liberal rather than leftist, whereas Russia at least has the former aesthetic of leftism.
Just aesthetic. It's literally just aesthetic. And like some of the Russian brigades fight under like the Soviet flag, despite the fact that they're basically full-blown fascists. And it's just let's play it. It's just so sick. Like,
going for in Ukraine, what side are you on that?
I'm on I'm on nobody's side.
Massive chunks of glass thrown hundreds of meters through a fucking children's playground. How evil can these people be? How evil can they?
See, this is the thing. I literally was in Ukraine a month and a half ago, and I literally filmed the aftermath of a Russian ballistic missile strike on a residential tower block, and it was just horrific. It was like the worst thing I'd ever seen. Like, I'd never seen anything like war before in real life. And then just suddenly it was just apartment after apartment after apartment, just incinerated, shredded by shrapnel, burned to a crisp.
Yeah, it's surreal. So I'm a former law enforcement guy, and I also served in the Marine Corps, and I deployed to Iraq. The good news though is that my deployment was relatively tame compared to a lot of other people's. But I've seen and done my fair share. And what really repulsed me is that there's a city called Lviv in Western Ukraine.
Oh yeah, Lviv, yeah.
And so Lviv is a place that a lot of Ukrainians resettled because they didn't want to be on the eastern border and then therefore subject to all these artillery attacks and missile attacks. Well, the Russians, being the a-holes that they are, they just randomly missile strike Lviv and they killed a family of 5. And there was no military significance. There was no advantage to be gained by the Russian army. They literally just wanted to tell the people of Lviv, oh, you think you're safe in Western Ukraine? You're not. And so as a result, maybe you should pressure your own government to surrender. And so, at least that's a message that I took from them, killing a random family with a missile in a non-military location. And so as a result, there's now a family of 5 that's dead in Lviv just because the Russians wanted to send a message to civilians. And it's like,
it's funny.
Barbarous. It's horrifying.
Yeah, and he thinks it's funny. He just thinks it's funny, which is just actually sick. Like,
I don't think that would survive real world contact. So as an example, if Hasan Piker, so he's what, 6'2", 200 pounds, whatever, he works out, he's a tough guy, this, that, the other. I don't believe any of that crap. But at the same time, like, if he wanted to go on a police ride along, he could see some of the things that he talks about. If he wanted to go to one of these war zones or whatever, like you just went, he could see some of the stuff that he talks about. And so as a result, you are incapable of saying the things that he says on stream once you see it in person because you understand how actually messed up it is.
Dude, look at this, right? So when I was in Dobrapilla, there were at least 14 people massacred at this site. I went there 2 days after it happened. And the real death toll might be many times higher than that because, it's very hard for Ukraine to keep proper casualty figures, all this stuff. But what I saw here, like, I just want to get this one part up, right? There was shrapnel in the walls. And that was the aftermath of a double tap strike. So not only did they hit the residential tower block with a ballistic missile strike, Iskander ballistic missile. They then waited for paramedics and firefighters to come and then hit it with cluster munitions. And like this is what Russia does constantly, every day. They did it in Sumy like last week, and they killed on Palm Sunday, killed like 34 people, civilians mostly. And dude, they do this constantly. And then Hasan just joking around laughing like,
so this is what's so difficult though. Okay. So this is what's so difficult about building a political alliance against people like Hasan Piker and against people like Tucker Carlson, because I might believe in some more conservative things. I might, I like the nuclear family, extended family. I might like capitalism more than socialism, like all that kind of stuff. And so as a result, if I'm talking to liberals or progressives, then they'll push me out and they'll be like, oh, you're too far right-wing for us, right? But then compare me to Tucker Carlson, who said that the Palm Sunday massacre, ignored the Palm Sunday massacre, meanwhile saying that Ukraine is actively trying to destroy Christianity because they're trying to tolerate homosexuals and transsexuals. And I'm just thinking to myself, it's like, dude, you're saying that I'm the same as Tucker and we're not even close. And then same thing with like you versus Hasan. Dude, I would take 1 million views over Tucker Carlson or Hasan Piker.
Dude, it's actually so bad, right? Like, I wanted to show you this part. When I was there, this just shows like the whole Tucker Carlson thing about Ukraine being against Christianity. It's just so sick. Like, I filmed this this was one of the Ukrainian apartments that was blown up that day in the Christian center. And there were just Orthodox Christian icons everywhere in the shrapnel, right? And then Tucker Carlson, just this sicko goes, oh, they just hate Christianity there. It's like
because they're being taught by the United States State Department to tolerate homosexuals and transsexuals, they are now anti-Christian, genocidal free, according to Tucker Carlson, which is the craziest sentence ever uttered out loud in politics and taken seriously by vast swaths of people.
Look at this, man. Look at this. Like, this was right there in the rubble. Like, I was walking just through Ukrainian apartments that were just shattered by like this Russian double tap strike and missiles and everything. And like, there's just Christian icons everywhere. How dare like Tucker then go forward and go like, oh, they hate Christianity. They're banning Christianity just because they're not bashing gay people like in Russia. Like, it's just sick. It really is fully sick.
It is. And that's the thing. So I'm a deist. I'm not like a particularly religious person. So oftentimes the super religious people will be like, oh, you're criticizing us, but you're a heretic, right? And it's like, but dude, for me, it's like, I was raised in it. I was raised 0 to 18 every single Sunday. I was in church. And so as a result, I feel like I have a better understanding of the faith than most of these people. And I feel like these people, they wear it as like a cloak simultaneously for and against criticism, and also kind of like a tribal signifier so they can berate other people. And I just think to myself every day, it's like, what about that is Christ-like?
Dude, it's full antichrist behavior. When Nick Fuentes like explicitly admitted that he started the whole Christ is King slogan thing just to try get under like Ben Shapiro's skin, just to try and like harass random Jewish people. So when they say it, they don't even mean it, right? Like, they're just using it literally just to attack Jewish people. And like, nothing could be further from the actual, spirit of Jesus Christ. It's just horrible.
I'll split the hair and say that I think it's something to the amount of Groifers. Yeah, sure. If you read the super chat, I'll hold my comment.
Oh, no, it's okay. I was just going to say, thanks so much, Ryan. What's sad is that with normal people, usually the fact Russia invaded should be enough to convince people that the Russians are the bad guy. It's so sad. And Hasan, the day before the invasion was going, they'll never invade, bro. They'll never invade. Just so fucking evil. You go on, Connor.
My favorite Hasan thing is like, listen, man, I was in the military. I served 4 years. I've been around artillery. I've been around airplanes. There is never a time where I will be confident enough to identify munitions through the sounds that I hear in a video. That is the craziest, like, hubris to think that you could identify the style of munition used through the audio coming from a video. That is like crazy pants. Like, I cannot believe, dude, I cannot believe he had the balls to say that. He's like, oh, that sounds like a JDAM. It's like, most explosives sound like explosives, you idiot.
It's just an explosive, like, fucking hell. Yeah, but what was the whole context there? It was like there was an explosion in Gaza, and
it was by a hospital, and so Israel blamed Hamas, saying that it was a failed rocket, and then the Palestinians and the Gazans and Hamas, they said that it was an Israeli airstrike. And so
Yeah.
Hasan effectively was like insisting that it was an Israeli airstrike over and over and over again. And he's like, I think that's a JDAM. That's the one that we sell. That's the one that we sell to the Israelis. And it's like, bro, I would never be that confident, ever. Like,
when it comes to Israel Palestine, he's gone so far beyond just humanitarian concern for the people of Gaza to a position that is like outright evil. Because like he was, the other day
he supports jihadist organizations, which is like insane to me, because I'm supposed to tolerate the New York Times writing a glowing piece about how this is the future face of like the left, and he's effectively endorsing jihadist terrorism. It's like, why would I ever want that to be a part of my country, let alone the main part of my opponent's political opposition?
Dude, his 9/11 thing should alone have ended his career, right? When he literally said that he thought America deserved 9/11. That's just sick. And then did you see the whole IDubbbz thing where IDubbbz goes, "Listen, man, he was just really passionate about the Middle East." Like that was IDubbbz's defense for Hasan saying that America deserved 9/11. He was like, "Oh, listen, man, he's from the Middle East. He's just really passionate about it."
But at least he was being honest about it, man. Because every single time that you talk to these people, they're like, "Oh, it's a joke. It's hyperbole. It's this, it's that." But then when you dig into it, they're like, no. Actually, this logically leads you up to supporting jihadist terrorism. And then they leave it right there. Same thing with Noah Samson. Noah Samson did a piece on what it was like, the YouTubers who supported genocide, right? And for 45 minutes, it's effectively just showing you all the bad things in Gaza that Israelis are largely perpetrating, right? Yeah. And then what he says is that, well, there's this contention about whether or not Israeli civilians should be, targeted or whatever. But it actually turns out that 97% of Israelis support operations in, Gaza or whatever. But the logical inference being that if the civilians support the genocide that he has just laid out for you, then they are viable targets. He's literally making an argument to support jihadist targeting of civilians, and it just goes like completely unchallenged in his audience. It's insane.
Dude, Bad Empanada literally did that. So Bad Empanada, he had a post where he quoted that link that was saying like 90% of Israelis support military action against Hamas or whatever. And then he literally just straight up said, Bad Empanada just straight up said, this means that they're all valid targets. And Hasan backs him. Hasan backs him on that. Like, it's just horrible.
That's the craziest thing to me, is seeing Hasan, Denims, Noah Samson, and I haven't heard Frogan say it explicitly, but to be honest, I don't watch as much of her content. But I've seen all of them except for Frogan mention Bad Empanada in glowing terms.
Yeah, dude.
It's like, dude, could you imagine if, I don't know, like if I got somebody, let's say that we were in the peak of the war on terror, like 2007, 2008, and I found Robert Bales. Robert Bales is the guy who actually like machine gunned a bunch of Afghan civilians, right? He actually killed a bunch of civilians. Yeah. So what if I got somebody who was like, Robert Bales actually has it right. Robert Bales is totally correct. Like could you imagine if you found somebody who committed a massacre, and then you were just like, yeah, this is the guy that I want you to talk to, is somebody who explicitly supports this guy? That'd be insane.
That's just insane. Seriously, man. Oh my God. Like, I'm trying to find, I just want to pull up that one where Bad Empanada literally said that the other day, that 90% were a valid target. Because it really is just so sick. Honestly, that's probably one of the worst things that Hasan has done. Like backing Bad Empanada, who, like, even just setting politics aside, he's really one of the most disgusting people in all of online sort of content creation spaces. He really is just an extremely, extremely evil and horrible person.
So hold on, do you want to know something really funny?
Yeah, please.
So go to this picture of him cutting chicken or whatever. If you zoom in on that red highlighted chat, I'm like 99% sure it's about Greater Israel.
Dude, look at this, right? So this New York Times tries to take like an artistic photo of Hasan's fucking computer, right? He just, Mr. Piker fast daily.
He's a messy gamer, bro, just like the rest of us.
Dude, look at his chat. It says, I'd fuck this. Look at that, right? Somebody literally talking about raping Jews to death. IDF bitch to death.
I'd fuck this IDF bitch to death and make his mother shove missiles up her ass, pussy ass bitches. Right. And then what is it? Hold on.
On his screen.
Isn't this all a part of their crazy ideology of recreating Greater Israel, which includes countries, blah 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 blah? It's literally the next chat underneath it. So yeah, so they're effectively saying that Israel will not stop with the West Bank and Gaza. They're gonna try to take Jordan. They're gonna try to take Syria, Lebanon, all that kind of stuff. And then they're also talking about like sexual assault. And they're talking about how they would do that to someone to death, unmoderated in Hasan's chat. And I'm supposed to act like this is like the future of the Democratic Party. I'm supposed to act like this is normal. Like what are you talking about, bro?
If that's the future of the Democrat Party, and then the future of the Republican Party is MAGA, like America's just fallen. Like it's just fully fallen at that point. There's nothing left.
I think, well, so here's the thing about MAGA. So just to share some stats, because I'm never, it's so over, bro. Right.
Yeah, true.
So I am never, it's so over, because dude, we had a civil war in 1865. We literally had half a million, we had a quarter of a million people shoot another quarter of a million people. We had stuff in Europe like the bubonic plague. We had stuff like the Crusades and the Reconquista and all that kind of stuff. So in my opinion, like humanity has been through so many more historical calamities than this. Now that being said, it doesn't mean it's not important. It doesn't mean that you don't fight, right? So statistically, if you actually look at it, these are probably outdated stats, but MAGA, like people who voted for Trump as a first choice, was like 55% of the Republican Party, and then probably 45% of it went along with them, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like half.
And so that's where, for me, those moderates, we still need to fight for them. And then I think the good news is on the left, with like liberals and Democrats or whatever, progressives say crazy stuff. However, I think that the actual tanky, revolutionary communist thing is like less than 10%.
Yeah, no, absolutely. My biggest concern is that the tanky far left shit infects people on the center left. So like I've unfortunately seen this happen over the past couple of years, and that's probably where I have become a bit more conservative, Connor. I guess my position's a bit of an interesting one, because like I still see myself as within the liberal tradition, but I guess I certainly break with the left on a lot of issues. Because maybe just on cultural stuff I'm a little bit more conservative. But you see, unfortunately, like there are quite a few people on the center left like who might, they'll defend Hasan and stuff, and they'll be like, oh, he's just somebody who's believes in universal public health.
So passionate, bro. He's so passionate.
And then that's the sad thing, because like then these tankies get legitimized. It's kind of like the same process by reverse, of how center-right people legitimize people like Trump, unfortunately, in the Republican Party, and some people sold their soul on that. I think, they're still very marginal in the Democrat Party, which is good, but gee, we have to try fight hard against them. Like that's my whole project, right? Like I really want to try build up a big YouTube and just fight hard against those types of people, because you just can't let those tanky evil people win. They're just so sick and they're so evil. Look at his chat. I can't believe the New York Times put this on. Like, and apparently no one had a problem with it, or no one even noticed. Someone is literally talking about raping someone to death because they're Jewish, right? Because they're ideological.
Dude, that's the crazy thing too, is somebody pointed out on Twitter the Greater Israel tweet. They didn't even notice the tweet, or excuse me, the comment right above talking about sexually assaulting someone to death. And then on top of that, like you have people saying that, but then they will look you dead in the eyes. Obviously, this is on social media, so they're not looking you in the eyes. But then they'll tell you that, number one, no sexual assaults happened on October 7th, 2023. And then number two, they'll tell you even if they did happen, they're not statistically relevant. Therefore, the genocide is worse. Therefore, why do you even care about this in the first place? And I'm just thinking to myself, it's like there are no human beings. There are no civilians that I would ever condemn to being like raped and then murdered as a part of any part of like military policy. And they're acting like this is justifiable. This is like, what do you expect? What do you expect? You lock them in an open air prison. What else are they supposed to do? And it's like probably not rape and murder people. That would probably be like the number one thing, actually.
It's like they have no moral standards whatsoever. Did you see that one where Hasan said, even if there was rape on October 7th, it wouldn't change the moral calculus for him at all?
Sure.
That was sick. I want to try find that one. That was sick. He's got so many sick moments, seriously. I just can't believe that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All I was going to say is I don't think that kind of dehumanization can survive like contact with real world violence.
Yeah.
I think the only reason why he can say that is because he's cooped up in an apartment, he's being edgy for attention, and he has people who validate his edginess by being like, yeah, you know, from the river to the sea, free Palestine, bah, bah, bah. And so they hear that and they're effectively doing a war cry. But I almost guarantee you that if I took any of these people on like a ride along with law enforcement, if I showed them like the like an autopsy of a human being, they'd probably cry and shit themselves, which is part of the reason why I think they should be fought so hard.
Dude, absolutely right. Like this is so funny because in real life, I actually met a girl like this. It was like someone, you know, friend of a friend, and we were just chatting, and they mentioned Luigi Mangione, and they were like, and
they're like based. They're like awesome.
And this girl was like a law student who was like, you know, like working for a judge, like it's crazy, right? And then she just straight up goes like, oh yeah, you know, like maybe it's not good, but you know, he kind of deserved it, right? Because he killed so many people. And I'm just thinking, I literally sat there thinking to myself, like, dude, if you saw that happen in real life, if you were just walking down the street and you saw this Luigi Mangione guy just come up behind a guy and just literally shoot him in the back and execute him, if you saw that in real life, you would cry. You would absolutely cry. All these people cry.
Yeah, for sure. The only thing for me though is I can understand why people do horrid stuff and then also still think it's bad, and so as a result, like I can logically understand. So this is how extremism works, at least in my mind. Luigi Mangione, before he went and committed murder, and it's murder, and it should be punished as murder.
Straight up execution.
Then what Luigi Mangione said to himself, though, is that this guy, and bear in mind, Ogre Boy's retarded. You would save yourself. You would save yourself so much time and energy and aggravation if you muted him or blocked him. I swear to God.
I don't even know who it is. Is he some guy who goes after you all the time?
I muted him a while ago. He's a very large Hasan Piker fan.
Okay, I just kicked him out of the channel. I just kicked him out.
Well, and he's also one of those guys who will simultaneously tell you that you know, the rapes didn't happen, and if they did, they're not statistically relevant, and therefore we shouldn't care about it.
Yes.
So with Luigi Mangione though, so I can understand the logic that Luigi Mangione used in order to work himself up to the point of the murder, where it's like this guy, because he used paperwork and because he used an algorithm and because he used his business to kill people, this is legal, and he enriched himself while doing so. Therefore, if there is not a consequence to this behavior and our society permits this, then we're just going to let the vampires of our society continue without consequence. Therefore, I'll be the avenging person. Now, just because you're the avenging person, I can see the logic that you did in order to get there. You should still be punished. It's still murder.
Yeah, of course, dude. I was just going to say, I brought this off my bookshelf, Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky. It's literally that book. It's literally that book where he just like, he talks himself into being like, oh, I want to be like Napoleon. I want to be a great man of history. Raskolnikov, you know, I am the Superman who supersedes morality. So therefore I take it upon myself to just go out and kill somebody. And then, and then he's just haunted for the rest of the book. And you just realize like, oh yeah, this is actually a full nightmare.
Whoops.
So, it's sad, right? It's so fucking sad.
Well, so that's actually funny. That almost feels like a criticism of Nietzsche. So I don't even know if like Nietzsche came before or after Dostoevsky, but it sounds like Nietzsche could benefit from reading Dostoevsky.
Look, a lot of these guys, like you know, Bronze Age pervert and stuff, they're all like Nietzscheans, and their reading of it. It's interesting, right? Because like, I mean, I did a bit of philosophy at university. I really like philosophy and everything, but I'm not an expert or anything. But I don't look. Nietzsche was all about, you know, the will to power. Christian morality is bad because it teaches men to be slaves, because it teaches you're venerating a man who died on the cross. Therefore, and it you know, it venerates humility. It venerates, you know, the whole concept. You know, one of the most important concepts in the Bible is, you know, the first shall be last, the last shall be first. Like it really is. To be honest, I read this book Tom Holland wrote about where he basically argues like so much of liberal morality today is kind of informed. It's like a secular. It's secular, but it's informed by Christianity, and I think it is very important to like the moral basis of civilization and stuff. I mean, basically Nietzsche's whole thing was Christianity makes you weak because it teaches you to, you know, it teaches you that there are these laws that you must obey as a man. You must venerate the humble. You must venerate the poor, the sick, the weak. The dark irony of it all is that Nietzsche was just basically coping because he was famously a very sick guy. Like he just basically spent
he was like a sickly Volcel. He was like
exactly. It's literally the first month, right?
that was one of the things I brought up to my dad because he's huge into philosophy, and so he was telling me about like Nietzschean morality and how he effectively like he was one of the first shit posters. Like he was one of the people who he was one of the people who like first took every normal moral guidance of the broad and dominant society and then he inverted it and saw if he could make like a really aggressive argument to piss everyone off. But then I kind of told him, I was like, well, do you know what his personal life was like? And bear in mind, like I read a book about him, like, I don't know, like 10 years ago. So I don't remember all the details.
He wasn't also,
But one of the things was that he simped for one of the girls in his intellectual clique for a really long time. She rejected him for a Chad. He got pissed off about it. And like you said, he was very sickly a substantive amount of the time. And so as a result, he basically had to cope and seethe. And so he's an excellent author. I'm not saying like you shouldn't read Nietzsche. I'm just saying you should also calculate into it. It's like, okay, while I'm reading Nietzsche, I should realize that this is like the original Chud Jack, it's the over guy. True. Like that's who he is. So you got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, Nietzsche's the original Chud Jack. That's so fucking true. That's the sad thing, though. Like, this is what all these guys are loving, though. You've got the fascist guys, the Bronze Age pervert type guys, and like that's their whole thing. Like, they literally will joke about raping people and taking people as slaves and all this stuff. And then you get people like on the left who are sort of embracing it too, where like they're just like Luigi Mangione can just take it upon himself to just go and execute people. And it's so funny because half of these guys are anti-death penalty, but they're fine with this guy just literally taking it upon himself.
But they're fine. They're fine with vigilante murder, like which is funny because I'm for capital punishment in some regards. But there's this meme that they post.
Extreme cases. I think in the most extreme cases, like someone like Osama bin
pretty
Laden.
Much terrorism. Like terrorism and infanticide and serial killing. Those are the ones that I would do. But what's so funny about it is there's a meme that they post a lot, which is like, I'm all for rehabilitative justice, unless you commit one of the bad crimes. And then if you commit one of the bad crimes, I'm for flaying you alive. And I'm like, actually, that is my position.
No, it's fucking amazing. Because it's really funny because it's like this weird thing where like half of them are like really Puritan about sex and stuff like that. So there's that meme where they're like, oh, like Leonardo DiCaprio, he's dating like 19-year-old girls. Like, therefore, he should be like flayed alive. I'm like, it's like good, but like, you're supposed to be anti-death penalty at the same time and anti-capital punishment and abolish prison. At the same time, you're like, Leo DiCaprio should be like, beheaded or something like that in Sharia law because like he's dating two young women. It's funny. It's bizarre.
The real truth is the real truth of it is that almost like every ideology and every Jordan Peterson has this quote about how like whenever you're talking to somebody who identifies with an ideology, you're not talking to this like perfect avatar of the ideology. You're talking about this. You're talking to this like fractal of it. And so therefore you'll have like these contradictions either in that person or in multiple people who all espouse the same ideology because nobody can perfectly inhabit it. I do try to point out the hypocrisies though, because effectively what happens, especially as you get older, is you kind of realize it's like, I believe what I believe and I'm very strong about it, but I'm also an idiot. And so I could be wrong. And therefore, rather than the entire world bouncing off of my vision of the world, maybe it's good that we have freedom and the right to express ourselves and the ability to bounce our ideas off of each other. And maybe I'm wrong some of the time. But that's only something that can come with like, I don't know, like experience and a mild amount of humility, which is one of my frustrations with all these creators is that they very rarely have experience. They very rarely have humility. And it seems like they're stuck in perpetual adolescence. And so they never grow up. So neither does their audience.
Dude, that was the iDubbbz video to a T, right? Like all these guys, I was watching and I was like, these guys are acting like middle schoolers. Like it's actually cringe. Like they actually act like fucking 12-year-olds.
But I watch it because it's funny. So that's the problem is like, it is high schoolers doing high school level drama. But I keep watching it because it's stupid and it's funny. And you can be like, this person had sex with this person, but then this person said that they were bad in bed. And I could go on for like another 30 minutes. But like the point is like, it's stupid high school level drama and backstabbing, but it's addictive. We love it.
It is unfortunately addictive. Dude, this is a funny point, right? Like that video, for example, where I went to Dobropilia, I literally did journalism right at the front lines, right after a missile strike. And like my video about Bad Empanada got more views than that. And I'm like, fuck, that sucks. It fucking sucks because like I put so much effort into, like, I literally went to the front lines in Ukraine and everything, and then I just make like a shitty video about Bad Empanada, and it gets like way more views.
But dude, I'm with you, but this is what I'm trying to do unsuccessfully, but I'm going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
Is that Eleanor Roosevelt has this really, I think, excellent quote, which is effectively that small minds talk about people, average minds talk about events, and then great minds talk about ideas. But the problem is, if you exclusively talk about ideas, you're going to get 10% of the audience because you're going to be boring as hell.
Literally.
Whereas, if you take the complex ideas, you root them in events, and then you root those events within clashes of personality within drama, I think that's like the at least that's what I'm trying to do anyways. I think that's the perfect formula to inject enough drama to be interesting while still talking about higher level stuff.
Yeah, no, I actually fully agree with you there. Like, it's funny because before I ever became an activist and got involved in all the crazy stuff that I got involved in and started off on social media and all that stuff, I used to love, like, I really loved history, really loved philosophy. I still loved all this stuff. And my original dream in life was like to like try get a PhD and then try to be like a lecturer and, you know, like write books and be like an academic, right? And then I just like came to realize, like, a lot of the time these guys are so siloed off and they're just speaking to so small an audience that it's really not attractive to me at all. And so, like, what I would like to do is like be a popularizer of, you know, interesting stuff, because you do have to try and talk to the actual population. You actually want to change things, right? This is the funny thing. I hate Karl Marx basically, but he did have a quote where he said, like, until now the philosophers have only interpreted the world, but the whole point is to try change it. And like, it is a good quote. That quote went hard, you know, like
Karl Marx, I read the opening of the Communist Manifesto, and I was like, I can answer that question in a second. With the Communist Manifesto, I read the first like few pages. I've read the entire thing, but I read the first few pages and I was like, is this guy like praising capitalism? Because it feels like he's being like really descriptively accurate of like the wealth that can be generated and what's possible through society and the development of technology. And so I actually wouldn't be surprised if he was like a decent writer in some regards, because he actually seemed to be pretty astute, however, and like observant. However, but then people talk to me about like communism, where they're like a moneyless, stateless, classless society, and I'm like, that's not going to happen. And then they talk to me about socialism, and they're like the decommodification of basic human needs and workers owning the means of production, and I'm like, listen, that sounds nice. However, every society that's tried to implement that has effectively created like a massive dystopian, authoritarian nightmare that has ushered in hell on earth. So until socialists, this is actually my criticism of Hasan Piker and Vosh and all the socialists. Yeah. Until you can do that with 30 people effectively on a farm, I'm not going to trust you with the levers of power.
That's true. That's true. I think honestly, like, it all comes down to like, you could have a nice, universal, beautiful socialist society where, you know, everybody is rich and wealthy, and etc. No class division stuff. But you need to solve the problem of scarcity first, and like that's like almost impossible. You know, like that we're like 1,000 years away from that probably. And look, the interesting thing with Marx is like, you know, I hate his ideology and everything, but people don't realize he was like a journalist in his life. He was an interesting writer. He was actually a very perceptive, interesting critic of capitalism. And yeah, people also don't realize this part, that he did see capitalism as a necessary stage towards socialism, right? So like, rather than some of these guys who claim to be Marxists today, and they're like very vulgar Marxists, right? Because you'll see like Hasan Piker going on, you know, this is funny. A year ago, Hasan Piker was saying, yeah, I support tariffs, you know, you've got to protect your own manufacturing, all this stuff. Now he's changed his tune because obviously Trump's gone on tariffs and it's been economically disruptive and everything. Like, nobody can say that it's worked well. But you know, I'm pretty sure Karl Marx was like against tariffs, right? Because his whole thing was like, yeah, you actually need capitalism to build up the productive forces, blah blah blah. Like he believed that, you know, you had to have it as a necessary stage.
That was Hitler. So one of Hitler's criticisms was that effectively that Marxism and communism, especially coming out of the Soviet Union, have this ideal of like universal humanity and the universal proletariat, whereas he was a nationalist who thought that like the German identity was a specific thing that needed to be productive. So he didn't have any problems with necessarily like being redistributive economically. He didn't have any problems with, you know, the proletariat having like a better role in society, although he didn't want to abolish the class system, obviously. Yeah. But the whole reason why he picked National Socialist as the moniker was because socialism was becoming more and more popular, but he wanted to make it tribal and exclusively for Germany.
Yeah, like socialism for one race sort of thing. That was the original. It's interesting because that was the original message he had. And there actually were guys in the Nazi party who wanted to have it that they wanted it actually to go in a more anti-capitalist direction, like Strasser and stuff like that. And then he ultimately just killed them all. Like he killed all those guys in the Night of Long Knives and stuff like that, which is interesting.
Unsurprising, but
That's you know, you get that part of the right that they're trying to make out this that they're going to do this like MAGA pro working class sort of socialist thing, and it's like honestly when push comes to shove, like they always just end up being like oligarchic and they just kill all the socialists and stuff like that. Like,
oh, dude, the cringiest thing ever is MAGA talking about like economic redistributivism and like, you know, making like economic justice work and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, that sounds great. We're working in a K economy where the working class is either stagnant or getting poorer and the upper class is getting richer and richer. What are we going to do about it? And they're like, tax cuts.
yeah,
that's not a coherent policy. That's just like you're describing our social problems and then you're saying tax cuts, and it's like that's not going to solve anything. What's your problem?
It's really deranged. And JD Vance is a really good example of this because JD Vance wants to position himself. I've seen people talk about him as like a red Tory. Like they want to try to say like, you know, he's got like a more redistributionist pro-worker thing than an ordinary Republican. But if you just look at it, like at the end of the day, they just end up doing like, you know, very
tax cuts.
Yeah, tax cuts, exactly.
Yeah, and then they're doing tariffs, but if one of their business friends comes up to them and they're like, "Hey, your tariffs are really screwing me over," then they're like, "Okay, you're exempted. Don't worry about it."
Yeah,
and it's like, but dude, that's literally like, you know, I try not to be too alarmist about the National Socialist thing, but that is how National Socialism works. So what happened with National Socialism was it became an old so the idea behind fascism is political corporatism. So you treat
economically, yes.
Yeah, you treat the nation state as a body, and then you try to make all the vital organs healthy. So that's like the concept between political corporatism. Yeah. But then they do try to do corporatism like the economic theory. But anyways, the point is that what ends up happening though is just an old boys club where if you're good with the party, you can go to them and say, "Hey, I have a problem. I need you to either pass this legislation or deregulate this legislation, or I need these loans for the government." And if they like you, they'll give you the loans, deregulate or regulate. And then if they don't like you, then they will screw you over. And so all it becomes is like neo-feudalism.
Yeah, neo-feudalism, weird, like neo-feudalism, oligarchy, kleptocracy, and like state capitalism, kind of a weird fusion of it. It's
and
so funny.
We've done this before. That's the other thing that pisses me off.
Yeah.
Like, there's plenty of countries that do this all the time, and they're all horror shows. Why are we doing this?
Dude, they're all shitholes. It's like how the Turkish government operates, right? Like there's every kind of third world, middle income country has like a version of this politics, right? Like Peronism in Argentina. Everywhere it's been tried, it's a fucking disaster.
There was somebody in your chat though. They asked like, has Connor ever taken a look at like Iranian and I think he said Russian politics or something like that?
I think he was asking about China. That's actually interesting.
China.
I wanted to ask you like how you got into like politics and stuff. So you started out with Warhammer and all this stuff.
Oh, I've been addicted to military history, psychology my entire life. So I always knew I wanted to be like an author or somebody who talked about this kind of stuff. I knew that since I was like, I don't know, 12. And so I've been studying military technology and politics my entire life. I've been studying history my entire life. Nice. One of my minors for college is history. And then also there's something on audible.com called the Great Courses series. It's effectively it's all like Ivy League level professors who go through a semester's worth of lectures. And but there's no tests, obviously. But I literally have done like 20 or 30 of those, you know, like just listening to random history because I love it so much. Man, Connor says, talk about human rights in Iran if you have it in your life. So sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say, I think we're very similar kindred souls in that regard. Because like that's just me. I've just loved history and politics and stuff since I was a kid and just obsessively.
Well, and it was bewildering because what happened was I knew like the story of World War II where like, you know, Pearl Harbor happens and the United States goes in, my grandparents go to war, they do this, they do that, right? Like I kind of knew all the normie levels of World War II. And then 9/11 happened when I was like 13 or 14. And I was like, holy shit, this is my version of Pearl Harbor. What the hell? And then number one, I knew I was going to participate in it. And number two, I knew I needed to research a lot more than what I knew at that time.
Yeah. No, I'm really interesting. Like, I'm interested. So you started off with Warhammer. Like, when did you start doing political debates and stuff? And I saw you did one with Pisco recently. I didn't watch it, but was that like a heated one? What happened there?
Yeah, I got a little heated. So
I'm friendly with Pisco now, but we did one back in January, and this was probably where like I've got a bit more conservative views. Like I was talking a bit about like the grooming gangs issue in Britain and stuff like that, and like how I think there is really bad problems with Islamism and cultural like sectarianism and all that stuff. And Elon had retweeted me twice, and like
Pisco's like, "Oh, you're jumping on the Elon train."
Yeah, exactly. So that's what. Yeah. So what did he do to you? What was the whole thing?
Pisco and I have history. So we've been yapping at each other for probably 3 years now. But I'll try to make it very brief. In 2000, I did. So in 2006, I enlisted in the military. 2010, I got out. 2010 to 2015, I got my 4-year degree. It took me 5 years. 2015 to 2019, I was a cop. And so I was a police officer in Lake County, Florida. And so what ended up happening was in 2019, I was like, I'm done experiencing the world. I want to talk about the world now. Yeah, so I started making YouTube videos. And I started talking about everything. So I was talking about politics. I was talking about Warhammer. I was talking about psychology. I was doing movie reviews. I was doing all this stuff. Yeah, and Dylan Burns and Prime Kai got me into the YouTube debate scene and got me around Destiny and Bosch. But what ended up happening was I was making lore breakdowns of Warhammer videos, and those did algorithmically better than political content. So I did that for the past few years. I got my silver play button literally a month or two ago for the Warhammer content. And then basically I neglected the politics side while still kind of doing it half-assed. And now I'm making enough money from Warhammer that I was able to leverage that into an opportunity to go full-time on politics.
Oh, nice, man. That's awesome. That's great to do.
Yeah. So that's why too long didn't read, even if it was too long.
No, that's cool. But how did you what was Pisco getting up the other day? Like what was he mad about?
I'm okay with deporting Mahmoud Khalil. He's not. Yeah.
See, that's the thing. My position.
I hate jihadism, man. I hate it. It's been a huge part of my life my entire time. So if you're Muslim and you're chill, if you believe in God, the last day, in doing good works, and you think Muhammad is his messenger, and that's all you believe, and besides that, you're a chill guy, you and I can be boys. You can be Muslim as you want to be. I don't give a shit. However, if you think that you need to take active part in a jihadist political and military struggle in order to convert the whole planet to Islam because God has called you to this mission, and as a result, you're going to treat gay people, trans people, Jews, Christians, pagans, Hindus, you're going to treat them all like shit because you have the right version of God. And then if push comes to shove, you're willing to kill like 30 of your neighbors in order to prove that point. Yeah. I don't want you anywhere near me.
Yeah. See, I actually fully agree with you there. See, some of the, I want to say this, right? It's interesting because a lot of lefty people would hate me for this, right? My stance on the deportations, like for example, when they did it to that guy who, was like the Venezuelan gay barber or whatever, or when they did it to, like,
messed up,
really messed up. Like when they've done it to people who've done absolutely nothing wrong, really messed up. I fully agree that's messed up. When they've done it to people who've just gone to a pro-Palestine protest, I think that's messed up too. Where I draw the line, right, is if they have explicitly said that they hate America, they support Hamas and stuff like that, I just can't see how there's any good argument that they should be able to be in the country, right? Especially if you're on like
if I could. I'm kind of meaning, I'm kind of not. So I don't really want to open the door on denaturalizing people. I really don't, because that once you start doing it to other people, it's going to happen to other people. But I swear to God, if there was a universe in which I could keep like citizenship as it is right now, but I could specifically trebuchet Hasan Piker to Cuba, I would do it. I would set up a trebuchet on the south side of the Key West. And I would shoot him over to Cuba, and he can do whatever the fuck he wants over there. I think he is a cancer in our subculture. I think he's that big of a piece of shit.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, right? Like my attitude on this question of deporting Islamists and jihadists and stuff, right? What I would do is I'd be like, okay, you have to do it according to due process, but we're just going to basically say, have you ever heard of the concept of like militant democracy?
No, but I'm pretty sure I'm for it.
Yeah, so I started getting into it recently. It's interesting. It's basically like it's the philosophy that defends, it's the philosophy that undergirds the sort of German constitutional system where they say that somebody who's a Nazi, somebody who's a communist, somebody whose political group or organization is dedicated to the overthrow of the constitution of the republic, like then they're just like, they will just be banned and proscribed in the name of defending democracy, right? And that's basically how I see it. I think militant democracy is a real thing. It's something that I support, and I'm trying to read more into it now, literally reading like political philosophers on this stuff and everything. It kind of comes into the Karl Popper paradox of tolerance thing where, look, if you have unlimited tolerance for people who have no tolerance and they want to use your system against you to destroy freedom and democracy, then like, you get destroyed at the end of the day. My kind of stance is like, you shouldn't have freedom for people who hate freedoms. So my stance is like, listen, if you could do it, it should be according to due process. But if you could just basically denaturalize like 10 or 15 of the worst, hate preachers and extremists and stuff like that, I would do that personally. I would do that personally.
Because I've seen the hate preachers that in the UK and in Australia, and I've seen some of the shit they say, and they basically say like, oh, your neighbors with Zionists, your neighbors with, people who support the secular kafir, society or whatever, who are dragging people to hell. They're like, fuck those guys. And effectively, they lead you logically up to the point of jihadist terrorism, and then they back off at the last second. So for me, it's actually kind of funny hearing all this. We talked about stochastic terrorism in Twitch and YouTube politics for like 2 or 3 years because they were so worried about all the stochastic terrorism that was being bred on the right by Charlottesville and the car attacks and all this kind of stuff. And then we bring up like all the stochastic bullshit that Hasan Piker and Noah Samson does, and they have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. They forgot the concept. They forgot the word. And I'm just like, am I being gaslit or are you stupid? I can't tell.
It's gaslighting. Look, this is where I still have a big disagreement with Pisco because Pisco, like, I think this is a broader problem in the sense of like a lot of these guys just don't take jihadism seriously as an ideology.
They don't.
And this is the thing, right? Like when
they think because it didn't happen to them, it's not that big of a deal. And they think that because it's statistically small, it's not that big of a deal. But I need to remind them, and I need to remind the audience, 3,000 people getting massacred in 2001 was enough to launch a war that ended up costing like $8 trillion over the course of like 2 decades, and also probably ended up killing like, I don't know, almost 1 million people between Afghanistan, Iraq, and a whole bunch of other places. And by the way, here's one more thing. This is what you'll never hear from Hasan Piker. You'll never hear it from Noah Samson. 80 to 90% of the casualties in that war were not coalition forces killing random civilians. It was jihadists killing their fellow citizens.
Yes, dude, yes. I fucking hate this. So one of the most annoying facts, like you'll see Hasan, these types of people always bring it up, right? Let me first off preface this by saying I think the Iraq war was a disaster. America should not have invaded Iraq in 2003. That's my take. I fucking hate Saddam Hussein. I wish they had taken him out in the Gulf War. In 2003, it was a disaster. Let's just be clear though, right? There's this statistic I see leftists always bring up. And they basically say like, oh, like the total excess deaths in Iraq was like 1 million people. America killed 1 million people in Iraq. It's like, no, dude. What that was that like there was a Sunni Shia civil war where jihadists on both sides were just straight up massacring each other and just car bombs in the streets and stuff like that. That's where the death toll comes from. Like that's where the death toll actually came from in Iraq. And like these people are so dishonest. Like yes, you can argue that America shouldn't have gone in because that might have then led to the process that the civil war began, right? But then for them to just straight up try to pretend like, oh, America killed 1 million people, like it's jihadism.
And in that case, jihadism would potentially be justified, right? Because America massacred 1 million people. They used 3,000 people dying in order to massacre 1 million. Of course, like jihadism might be logical at that point.
People say that all the time. I hear that. I see Muslim extremists say that, and I also see leftists say that, where they're like, "Oh, well, if you have a problem with extremism, then why did America kill 1 million people in Iraq?" It's like,
who is it? iDubbbz, who again is probably no offense, a fucking moron.
Yeah, he's literally.
He said that the reason why Hasan Piker's quote about 9/11 was acceptable was because he just got really passionate about American imperialism and American terrorism. And I was like, you have the IQ. You have an 80 IQ. Like you have an 80 IQ.
That was pathetic, right? We saw this on TikTok when all these leftists dredged up the Osama bin Laden letter to America shit. And it's really funny.
Yeah, and they were like, "Oh wow, I understand all of it now."
Yeah. You know what's so funny about that letter? Because I'm actually really interested in this stuff. So like when I started getting interested in jihadism, like I literally went to like Princeton University Press. Like I started buying all these academic books on like jihadism and like the history of Islamism as a political ideology and stuff. Like Sayyid Qutb. I started reading into all this stuff. It's really interesting because when that specific letter to America, what I've read about that is apparently it was actually it was one of Osama bin Laden's American lieutenants who wrote that. So it's like an American guy who had converted, went over, and it was really interesting because the American guy who went over, I think he was actually from California. I forget his name off the top of my head, but he sort of had a background before he went into Islamism, right? He actually was like kind of like a leftist, right? So that's why there were all these leftists who thought that they'd read the letter from America and it referenced generic language about America being an imperialist power and stuff like that. It was because it was like actually an American former lefty who had converted to Islam and Al-Qaeda who wrote it. But the funny thing is when you actually read it,
that at all.
Yeah, it's fascinating, right? It's actually a fascinating point. But when you read it, it's so fucking insane because you read it and like Osama bin Laden straight up says, like someone says, we're doing 9/11 because like we did 9/11 because like America has gays and the Jews control America and America is a decadent gay Jewish society. Like that's literally his argument, right? And then all these guys are like, well, I didn't realize you had a fucking point. Like what the fuck?
Well, in their defense, they do talk about imperialism. They do talk about the Phalanges massacre. They do talk about all that stuff. And so they give like a geopolitical justification for it. That being said, they will happily ignore exactly the sentence that you just said, where it's like, also you're gay and Jew and decadent and you worship Satan and all that kind of shit, so you deserve to be killed. So they'll ignore that part for sure. We are hitting 11, so that's about an hour from me. I did want to address the super chat that Anwar al-Awlaki, I feel like was a half decade or a decade later though. Anwar al-Awlaki was the American that left, who started as a pro-peace advocate in the wake of 9/11, and then he became an Al-Qaeda propagandist. However, I think the letter was released almost immediately after 9/11, which I think would be too early for Anwar al-Awlaki. I could be wrong though. There was a $20 super chat that I think was asking us a question.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Ryan. People would make the argument that Khalil was a slippery slope, and seeing the current deportation fiasco going on, it's hard to argue. Yeah, I think that's fair. Look, I think personally that this is probably my view, like the sort of Noah Smith view on it, where he basically said, look, I think Khalil was like a shit bloke, like has terrible views, but it is probably, I mean, given the broader context that they're also just randomly getting random Venezuelan gay barbers and sending them off, like, yeah, it's a slippery slope. So look, I actually agree with you on that, Ryan. It's a shame because again, it's just Trump doing everything as a fucking moron and incompetent and stupid. Because there are hate preachers in Dearborn, Michigan, right, who've like literally called for people to do jihad in America. If he had just deported like 5 or 6 guys like that, who would have a fucking problem with that? Seriously, no.
Well, and that's so that's what I was going to argue. So excuse me, in reference to Khalil, the attachment, I'll admit it, it's vague. It's the fact that he worked for CUAD. It's the fact that CUAD released a newsletter 1 year after the October 7th massacre that effectively glorified the massacre. He negotiated on their behalf and, in order to get them to release buildings that they had occupied, all that kind of stuff. So for me, like, if it walks like a duck, it talks like a duck, you're here effectively as our guest and you're sympathizing with jihadists, then get out of my country. When it comes to hate preachers, though, effectively, if they were naturalized citizens under 5 years, there's terrorism exceptions to naturalized citizens, where even in the United States, you can denaturalize them and then deport them. And then same thing, if those people are here on a green card or they're non-citizens or whatever, see ya. We'll get you to a safe country, like a physically safe country, but you're not staying here.
Yeah, dude, I do agree with him on that. You know what? Someone in the chat is so smart. They actually remembered the guy's name. This was the guy who did it. He actually was. Yeah, he started off as a noise musician, bro. Like he's literally like a former leftist from I think he grew up in, where did he grow up? Like Oregon or something like that. Oregon County. There you go. Orange County, I think it was. Riverside County. So yeah, like he was a full American, and he somehow became like an Islamist or something like. And he was the guy who I think wrote Letter to America, and it was because he had that history of being literally American. He was familiar with the cultural currency and stuff like that. I guess that's why there were some leftists who just got tricked by the Letter to America, even though there's a part that just says like the real reason.
Dude, I'll tell you before I dip out. I'm pretty sure the wife is going to start yelling at me at any second.
Yeah, no.
In some ways, so Judaism is it's a closed religion, right? So it's monotheistic, but they're not looking for converts, right? Then when it comes to Christianity is a universalist religion, but in order to be considered Christian, you have to believe in the Trinity. So you have to believe that God manifested himself in humanity through Jesus and brought like the New Testament, which was going to be our, revelation that was going to either prepare us for God or it was going to make, humanity better, I guess, depending on your perspectives about revelation. When it comes to Islam, though, Islam, despite the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, having like a lot of messed up things about what he did in life, like, marrying a very young girl and also conducting wars and all that kind of stuff. Islam is a monotheist, universalist religion. So you only have to believe in God the Father. And then also it basically said like in order to be Muslim, the bar is really low. It's like, do good works, believe in God the last day, do good works. And then, Muhammad is his messenger and blah, 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 blah. But the bar for entry is really low. And so in some respects, if I was a pagan, 5,000 years ago, and I believed what I believed right now, some Muslims would say that I'm Muslim because I'm like I'm whatever Muslim. But
on this exact point, this is so interesting. There was a Turkish guy at my university, and it was interesting. He was like a Gulenist. I just sat down and I just talked to him for like 2 hours. He was a medical student. It was really interesting. I didn't know what Gulenism was, so I was trying to work out like what it is in Turkey. And it was really interesting because we were discussing, and like obviously he was very critical of my stance on Israel Palestine. He's very critical. Look, I've been a very strident critic of Islamism and stuff like that. And now it's at the point where people call me Islamophobic, which sucks because I actually started my sort of career as an activist being a campaigner for Uyghur Muslims who were persecuted by the Chinese government because they were Muslim. But anyway, this guy, he said a really nice thing, which was really interesting to me. He was like, listen, I know you're Christian. I know you're not a Muslim, but because you're like a monotheist and because you help the Uyghurs, I actually think that you are like, you're spiritually or at least in some sense you're a Muslim, and I hope that I'll see you in like heaven. I was like, oh, a nice thing, right? Like, so
thanks, buddy.
It's interesting, right? Like you're right. Their whole claim is that Judaism and Christianity are no longer monotheist religions. Like they've become betrayed. Blah, blah, blah.
They're perversions. They're perversions of the original message. But which is fine. It is what it is.
Yeah, that's their theology. But they do claim that if you're a monotheist and you do good works, you technically are a Muslim. So I was trying to ask this guy about it. I was like, really? So how does this work? And he was just basically saying like, yeah, there's somebody who's not actually a Muslim, but they are a strict monotheist and they do good things. They are technically a Muslim. I was like, okay. I mean, it's their theology.
That's what was explained to me. So obviously there's going to be like more strict adherents who don't believe this concept. However, apparently it's a popular concept in Islam. Why does he think Judaism is not monotheistic? It's not. It is monotheistic. It's closed. That's what I was saying.
It's not a missionary religion, is what you're saying.
Judaism is not trying to convert the entire planet. They are a closed religion. Christianity is trying to convert the entire planet, but they believe in the Trinity, which depending on how you see it, it could be monotheism. It could be
Well, Islam claims that's polytheistic. So my brother's Muslim, and my brother said that to me. He was saying to me, Drew, you should convert to Islam because then you'll be a monotheist. You've become a polytheist because, in Christianity, there's the Trinity. And I was like, oh, what? I didn't understand this. I had to go and start reading books on Islam to try and understand the theological claims he was making against the, right?
Right, but the popular argument, or at least it's popular, especially with moderate Muslims and other things, is that there were obviously monotheists that were Abrahamic or before Abraham, but they're not Muslims and they're not fully Jews and they're not Christian either because this all predates Christ. And so what Islam effectively says is that Islam, since it's the one true religion, people almost understand it instinctively. And so therefore, people who predate Muhammad, but they were monotheists, they're actually they're kind of Muslim, even though they didn't have the benefit of Muhammad's teachings.
Yeah, they say Moses was a Muslim. They say Abraham was. They say Jesus Christ was one. And that's why they use the terminology revert, because the idea is that everyone's born as a Muslim with an instinctive call to sort of monotheism, and then maybe in their culture they get taken away with Christianity or Judaism. But if you convert to Islam, they say you're a revert because you're reverting.
Right, because you already were. You're just coming back.
I know. That theological claim really annoys me, right? Because what it's basically saying is that anybody who's not a Muslim is just mistaken, and it annoys me, right? Because it annoys me because I believe in Christianity and I believe in Christianity because that's my faith, and they're telling me that it's just because I'm wrong, right? But I mean,
you got tricked.
Funny, it's funny. But anyway, man, That was a great
No,
chat.
my sincere pleasure. Honestly, I feel like you and I probably have a very similar wavelength. So if there's ever a time that you want to talk shit, I'm live 9 to 5, Monday through Friday on my home channel and also on Valor Media Network. However, if there's like a specific topic or if you just want to shoot the shit on history, I mean, obviously, I'd love the opportunity to do this again.
Yeah, dude, that'd be awesome. I'd love to do that. And yeah, would love to go on your channel sometime or whatever. We should definitely do some more streams. It was great to talk, man. We've got a very similar outlook. I think it's good.
Beautiful. Now there's two of us.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, bro. Have a great day. Thank you, man.
Right.
Thanks so much.
Bye, bud.
Thanks, Connor. Thanks, man. That was cool. I really liked it. I really like Connor. Thanks, guys, for sticking around. It was pretty good. We got up to about 40 viewers at one point. That was really good. Yeah, gee, I see really similarly to Connor. Smart guy, very smart guy. I like being able to talk about it to him about like history and philosophy and stuff. It's cool. When they say that Abraham, Moses, and Jesus were Muslim, they were using the term Muslim as a synonym for someone who submits to God. Yeah, I understand that, Yusuf. So I know it is actually it's their theology, obviously, and obviously, like, I'm not going to be able to like tell people that the theology is wrong. Somebody is a Muslim because they believe in the teachings of Islam. Somebody is a Christian because they believe in the teachings of Christianity, and so on. And so I'm not going to go out and tell people you're wrong for believing this. I think it's wrong to do that. Like I'm a critic of jihadism. I'm a critic of Islamist extremism. But just normal Muslims who are just normal, chill guys, I like those people, right? I can get along with people like that. And I had a lot of good friends in the Uyghur community. I just want to say as well, Ryan Hall is logging off. Ryan, thank you so much for your donations, bro. I really appreciate it, man. That was very nice of you. I think Ryan donated like $25. So, man, thank you so much. That's a very nice thing to do. I appreciate your dedication to supporting the stream. Thank you, brother. Thanks, Ryan. Have a good day, man. Muhammad tried to be the Jewish Messiah. Actually, that is true. So one of the things that is really interesting about Islamic early history is Muhammad, I believe, expected that Christians and Jews would follow him because he was trying to present a sort of monotheistic vision. And he was rejected by the Jews and Christians of Arabia. And that led to some of the very brutal early wars in the history of early Islam. And I think that did ultimately lead to like the Khaybar incident, where there was the massacre of Jews at the town of, I think it was the tribe called Khaybar, and they were massacred by the army of Muhammad. It was, a war in the early times of Islam. And, it was a pretty horrific massacre. And one thing that's really horrific and really horrible, when you see this at Palestine rallies today, some Islamist extremists have started to do the Khaybar Ya Yahud chant. I'll show you guys what that is. I mean, the guys who follow me, a lot of them might see, but I might be able to educate some people here if you know. So Khaybar Ya Yahud, Jaish Muhammad Sufa Yaud. Khaybar, O Jews, the army of Muhammad will return, is an Arabic language rallying slogan referencing the Battle of Khaybar of 628 CE, which began after Muhammad marched with a large Muslim army and besieged Khaybar, an oasis in present-day Saudi Arabia that was home to a notable Jewish community. The slogan is chanted primarily at public anti-Israel demonstrations, though it has been invoked during Islamist terrorist attacks as well. The chant has been categorized as anti-Semitic by the American news broadcaster PBS and Israeli newspaper The Times of Israel, and by British advocacy group Muslims Against Anti-Semitism and the American advocacy group ADL. I like that he's opposed to religious extremism while respecting people regardless of the religious affiliation. Thank you, Yusuf. And Yusuf, you're a really cool guy, man. I really appreciate that, you're a Muslim guy who's chill and is against extremism. And like, that's great, man. I really respect that. And I hate when I have people telling me like, oh, Drew's Islamophobic, Drew's attacking Muslims. Like, my only problem is with Islamist extremists and Islamist supremacists, people who are supremacists in their outlook and ideology. That's my only problem, right? That guest that you had was really good and very entertaining as well. Yeah, guys, let me quickly show you his channel. Just giving him a shout out, right? He's a really cool guy. He's a lot bigger than me on YouTube. But he's a really cool guy. He's a really cool guy. I appreciate that he logged on as well. Appreciate that he came on. So Counterpoints, and yeah, he's a really smart, cool guy. Really he mainly has done Warhammer stuff, I guess. But I think he's got debates as well. He's got a debate channel. So I think he's I think he's now doing basically more politics stuff as well. So yeah, that's really cool. The slogan was first coined in the late 1980s during the first Intifada by Ahmed Yassin, founder of the militant group Hamas. Yeah, so it's literally a Hamas chant, guys. Left and you were talking about Hasan Piker, came back to you talking about Al-Qaeda, man, because we started just talking in general about Islamism and extremism. First Khaybar massacre was done by Christian Arabs, but second was done by Muslims. I didn't actually know about the Christian Arab Khaybar massacre. That's really interesting. Thank you for educating me on that. I actually did not know that. Khaybar. So Yes, in 567, Khaybar was invaded and purged of its Jewish inhabitants by the Ghassanid Arab Christian king Al-Harith ibn Jabala. He later freed the captives upon his return to the Levant. I did not know that there was a Christian massacre of the Jews at Khaybar. I'm a Christian man. I apologize for that. That's very sad. Khaybar was late. Yeah, so the Islamic massacre, Khaybar, that was in the early times of Islam. However, Jews reject both Jesus and Muhammad because Jews consider both of them to be false prophets. Look, that's their theology, and yeah. And look, I'm a Christian at the end of the day. Obviously, I'm not Jewish because I don't believe in Jewish teachings. I'm a Christian because I believe in Christian teachings. But I ultimately believe that we should have respect for one another's religions. I have a lot of Jewish friends. I think Jewish people are really cool people. And, most Jewish people I know are very secular and very chill. And a lot of my Jewish friends, for example, wish me happy Easter, wish me Merry Christmas and stuff like that. So, it's funny. You see the Groypers and shit like that. You see like the Nick Fuentes type people. And they like to go like, oh, all the Jews believe that Jesus is in a pit of hell. And it's like, dude, like most of my Jewish friends just told me like, happy Easter, right? Like I have very chill, nice Jewish friends. Like a lot of the Jewish people I know are very secular and just exactly like you and I, right? I think Xi Jinping is the most Islamophobic world leader in the world. True. Bro, is it me or any Brits and Aussies I met in Vietnam is into 40K? Really? Is that true? I don't know. I do know a lot of guys who are into 40K. I've never really gotten into it before or even really seen anything. So have you ever thought about interspacing your talking sessions with popular songs of the day and advertisements from sponsors? Dude, that would actually be cool. I'd love to do that, but wouldn't I get banned on YouTube? It actually would be so cool because I'd love to transform this into like a radio show because I think like the old times where, you just have talkbacks, people responding to viewers, you got the nice music, I'd love to play like music that I like, right? How can I do this without getting banned or copyrighted by YouTube? If you guys have like tips on how I can like make this into a radio show without getting banned, it would be really cool. Bana Qurayza was the tribe that was massacred. Some survivors joined the Jews of the Khaybar oasis. Later, they were conquered and made dhimmis, and then were expelled during Caliph Omar's reign. I want to point this out, guys. Indonesian terrorist Amrozi, involved in the 2002 Bali bombings, which killed like 80 Australians, 90 Australians, shouted the slogan "Khaybar Khaybar Ya Yahud" before being sentenced to death in August 2003 in a Bali courtroom. So you cannot overstate this enough. How central just like anti-Semitism and just Jew hatred is to like the jihadist, mentally ill mindset. If I stream on Kick, can you do songs on Kick? I don't know how that stuff works. The concept of the Jewish Messiah entering Jerusalem riding a donkey is rooted in the prophecy found in Zechariah 9:9. This explains Muhammad's magic donkey rides to Jerusalem. But it also explains, Jesus entering the city of Jerusalem, on the back of a donkey for Palm Sunday, etc. Jesus. This is a thing. This is one thing that Christian anti-Semites really pisses me off about. Like they neglect to recognize the fact that Jesus was ethnically Jewish. He was raised within a Jewish spiritual context. He debated with the rabbis. He saw himself as fulfilling the Old Testament vision. And so Jesus and his family were all Jewish, right? Obviously, he founded the new religion of Christianity, but Jesus and his family were all ethnically Jewish, and he was raised within, the Jewish faith. One of my favorite stories about Jesus, I'll just speak as a Christian now because it's interesting. One of my favorite stories about Jesus, and I really loved this when I was a kid and I was reading the Bible and stuff. Because I used to love reading the children's Bibles and stuff as a kid. One of my favorite stories about Jesus was when he was young, and he got lost, and his father Joseph and his mother Mary were really scared that he'd been lost, and they looked everywhere for him, and they ultimately found Jesus had been in the synagogue, and he'd basically been debating with the rabbis questions of religion and philosophy and stuff like that. And this was when he was a young boy, and they were incredibly amazed by his his intellect and his religious reasoning, etc. And that's one of my favorite Bible stories, actually, from the New Testament. So yeah, but that just goes to show, right? Like it just goes to show, those Christian anti-Semites, the Nick Fuentes of the world, these people are genuinely fucking retarded because they hate Jews so much, and yet Jesus recognized himself as a Jew. And what was it that the Romans put above Jesus' cross when Jesus was being crucified? They were mocking him as the King of the Jews, Inri. That was above Jesus' cross. So I mean, just these Christian anti-Semites, I think they are really fundamentally retarded, ultimately. Okay, this is obviously a theological discussion, right? So within Islam, they believe that Muhammad had a magical. They believe he had a night journey where an angel. It was one of the most famous angels in Was it Archangel? Who was the angel? Angel Muhammad Night Journey. So what is the So it's supposed to be, I think, the angels Gabriel and Michael, who are really obviously very famous in Christianity as well. And the belief is that they guided him to Jerusalem, where he received, he ascended from. They guided him to Jerusalem, and then from Jerusalem he ascended into heaven. I think that is the claim, and that is why Jerusalem is now the third holiest city within Islam, and that's why they built the Dome of the Rock. It's a shame, because I think archaeological evidence suggests that the Dome of the Rock was built above the old temple that was so central to Judaism. And it's sad, because you do see over and over again in history, conquering Islamic armies turned the sites of other religions into mosques. So, for example, Hagia Sophia, which for Orthodox is like the most important, this was the seat of Orthodox Christianity, is then turned into a mosque. And Ataturk tried to make it into a secular museum. Erdogan brought it back as a mosque, which is, a great shame. It's a very religiously provocative action to build a mosque on top of another religion's holy sites, right? That said, I do want to just very much clarify here. There are these insane, ultra Orthodox Jews who believe that, there's insane ultra Islamic extremists in Hamas who believe that the Jews want to try build another temple over the Golden Rock and everything. And then there's a small fringe minority of extremist Orthodox Jews who want to build the third temple on where the Golden Rock is. That's obviously insane. I don't want to have World War III. So I just want to clarify that, right? But I do think it is sad that the Dome of the Rock was built over what was the holiest site in Judaism. I think that's very sad, obviously. Mehdi Hasan does say that he believes the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, ascended into heaven from Jerusalem. That is Mehdi Hasan's belief. He claimed that, which is look, if you don't believe in the same theology, it's a little bit humorous, right? But they say he tied the donkey to the Western Wall. That's why they call it the Al-Barak Wall. Pickle says all Abrahamic religions are equally wrong. Listen, man, look, at the end of the day, I have respect for all of them, and I'm a Christian, so I believe in Christian teachings. I'm not like an edgy atheist type by any means. In Islamic tradition, the magic donkey refers to the Barak, a legendary creature that is said to have transported the Prophet Muhammad during his night journey, Mecca to Jerusalem and then to heaven. So that's the claim. Thoughts on Ataturk too? Look, it's a shame, because Ataturk obviously, he was very brutal to the Greeks, etc. So, for that reason alone, I don't like Ataturk. But that said, in the way that he tried to secularize Turkey, the fact that he tried to make the Hagia Sophia into a secular museum rather than a mosque, I respect that. The fact that he makes jihadists to this day so angry, I respect that. So there was a small synagogue on a corner of the Temple Mount complex until the Fatimid period. And here's why aren't Jews and Christians allowed to pray at the Temple Mount? Obviously, it's an attempt to manage tension. I just wanted to say as well, here's one thing that a lot of people from the Palestinian side of the conflict don't ever talk about. So from 1947 to 1967, when Jordan occupied the West Bank and East Jerusalem, they banned all Jews from the West Wall. No Jews were allowed to go to the West Wall, and they bulldozed all these synagogues, ancient synagogues in East Jerusalem and stuff like that. And so people don't talk about that, right? They talk about Israel's an apartheid state, but when Jordan occupied the East Jerusalem and the West Bank for 2 decades, they bulldozed synagogues, they banned all Jews from entering and praying at the Western Wall, and that's a horrible thing, right? There's nothing at the Temple Mount after the Temple of Jupiter was destroyed. I don't know that much into the history. This dope, man, actually learning a lot. I don't know what I expected from your stream, but I'm enjoying it. Thanks, man. That's cool. Listen, the funny thing is, I think a lot of people think of me as just like a dumb shit post or whatever. But dude, I obsessively read about history and politics, and that's my jam. I love that stuff so much. I've been passionate about reading and stuff since I was a kid, so I do love talking about this stuff, and hopefully, I actually can offer something interesting intellectually to some people. Erdogan should be removed from power and just go into retirement vacation. Said, I hate Erdogan. He's a horrible guy. I did a political compass test and got Ataturkism as an ideology. Was the political compass test made in Turkey? Jews and Christians aren't allowed to pray at Temple Mount. It's because it's against Islam. Look, it's very sad. I wish there was a way that these religious tensions could be managed in East Jerusalem. It's a very sad thing. obviously you have like provocateurs like Ben Gvir and stuff like that who try to go to the Temple Mount and stuff like that, and like they do that knowing that they're going to try start like civil war and stuff like that, which is horrible. Sorry, one sec. After Persians and Jews recaptured Jerusalem, the Jews started to clean up the Temple Mount, but then that's when Muhammad's army came. Corey, you would know this history better than me. The claim that's made by Islamic historians is that the Crusaders had expelled the Jews, and it was Saladin who allowed the Jews to re-enter Jerusalem. Is that a true claim? Because I hear people say that all the time. Do you think there are similarities between Kahanists and Hamas? Yes, absolutely, dude. I think Kahanists are sick. I think Kahanist people are sick people. The guys who venerate like Baruch Goldstein are like really sick guys. So one of the sickest things about Ben Gvir is that he like literally venerated Baruch Goldstein. He had a portrait of Baruch Goldstein in his living room or something like that, and he shot at worshippers at the Cave of the Patriarchs. He murdered all these Muslim worshippers, killed kids during Ramadan, and it's just such an evil thing. And yeah, his gravesite became a pilgrimage site for Jewish extremists. And yeah, unfortunately, Ben Gvir like loves him, and that's a really sick thing. Prior to entering the Knesset, Itamar Ben Gvir, the current Israeli Minister for National Security, displayed a portrait of Goldstein in his living room. It was removed when Ben Gvir entered politics. That is one of the most sick things about Ben Gvir. And I hate this extremist side of Israeli politics. I have to be clear about that. And I have talked about that in the past. I am against this disgusting tendency. It is a fascist tendency. This is the sad thing, right? Every religion, every single culture has like its own variant of fascism. So the Turkish fascists are the Grey Wolves. The Jewish fascists are the Kahanists. The Palestinian fascists are like Hamas. The Islamic fascists are jihadists. Like every single culture and every single, like, and I think a lot of people who support the CCP in China, the Chinese ultranationalists, they're like Han fascists. So my personal take, right, and this is where like, there's all these leftists who think that like fascism is just like purely this white person's ideology, that Europeans invented it, and therefore like, you know, it's something we should whip ourselves for the rest of time. And like, look, I think every single culture and every single people on the planet are capable of inventing their own variant of fascism. And you see that with the Turkish Grey Wolves, you see that with the Russian fascists, you see that with the Islamic jihadists. They look very similar to fascism within like their cultural context. You look at that with the Baruch Goldstein Kahanists. Like, I honestly think that they're Christian fascists, of course. I think they're Buddhist fascists, dude. Like they were Buddhist monks who were like massacring Muslims in Myanmar. So look, the sad thing is, I think it's just a human tendency, right? Like it's a human tendency towards supremacism, and it exists within every culture and exists within every people. And I think we always have to constantly guard against it. We always have to constantly try and oppose it. And look, this is the funny thing. I think because I'm so vocal in opposing, like, you know, Islamic extremism, Chinese extremism, Russian extremism, all these other cultures, people then start to say, "Oh, Drew, you're a supremacist yourself. Drew, you're like a guy who hates foreigners." And it's like not true at all. Like I actually love other cultures. I love reading about other overseas history and politics, and I love that stuff. It's just because I'm not afraid to call out Islamic extremism. I'm not afraid to call out Chinese extremism. I'm not afraid to call out, you know, all these different extremist ideologies that exist across the planet. I'm not afraid to call that out. Unfortunately, there's all these leftists who think like, oh, you can't say anything about like Muslim extremism because then you're going to feed into Islamophobia. You can't say, and then some of these guys will say, oh, you can't say anything about, you know, the Chinese Communist Party's evil actions because then you're going to feed into Sinophobia. And it's like, no, dude, like you're just actually, by doing that, you're actually giving all this succor to the extremists. You're actually helping the extremists by not talking about it. Guys, I'm going to invite somebody else. I think I'm going to invite Shagzadeh. Shagzadeh, he's a great guy. Hang on. I'm gonna and I'm just gonna send this to another friend. So I'm going to have, I think, Shagzadeh on the stream and my mate Bill Davis as well. I'm going to have some more people join us. It's good. It's good to chat to people. This has been a good stream, actually. I really enjoyed talking to Connor. And I started at a time that was more friendly for North Americans. And yeah, I'm just going to keep up with that. Like, I think I'm going to try start changing my streams to be around this time each day. Goldstein was pure trash. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Absolutely. He was a sick guy, guys. He was, so this was, he was a supporter of the Jihadist party. The religious impulse definitely plays into human sense of authoritarianism, the idea of a magic, unalterable overlord who tortures us forever questioning. Look, I think religion can be a beautiful thing, but I agree that it can be twisted and, pushed into very extremist and disgusting directions. So it's all about how you practice it. And again, it all just comes down to, human imperfection, the fact that human beings are like this. And basically every single type of ideology on earth can essentially be transformed into this evil, can be transformed in evil ways. It's a very sick thing and sad. The Buddhist monks that massacred Muslims in Myanmar are sure not peaceful, unlike the Tibetan Buddhist monks who are peaceful. Yeah, very good, very well said. The Tibetan Buddhist monks are beautiful people, very peaceful. The Tibetan cause has been very notable in its amazingly idealistic commitment to non-violence and peace. It's an amazing thing. I met His Holiness Dalai Lama, and he said that to me. Hopefully Shag Zadeh will join soon. Jews had to live under jizya, but Umar formalized it. Okay, interesting. That's about the history of the Jews in Jerusalem. I opposed the war in Iraq and Afghanistan and read as much as I could about Al-Qaeda. I'm somewhat familiar with the Russian-Afghan intervention. To many, that made me a supporter of Al-Qaeda. I'm not. Buddhism can be militarized and inform the kamikazes of World War II. It's not all peaceful. Yeah, look, I've got a really interesting book here, actually. It's called Zen at War. And it was basically about how Zen Buddhism was weaponized by extremists in Japan. And it's just interesting. Like, it's a really common theme where, like, almost every ideology on the planet, every religion, every ideology, even ones that are like quite beautiful and peaceful, can be weaponized in extremist psycho ways by horrible people. What do you think about the idea that the universe is endlessly repeating Big Bang, Big Crunch? I'm not sure, man. It's a really difficult thing. I read a book a couple of years ago when I was just starting out university by Max Tegmark, Our Mathematical Universe. And he's essentially arguing that at its very core, at its most basic essence, like the universe is just mathematics. And like he was talking about like, endlessly repeating infinite universes and stuff like that. And so it's hard, right? When you start thinking in such cosmic when you start thinking in such cosmic proportions, the smallness of human existence, it becomes quite existentially terrifying, I have to say. So I haven't thought about it in depth for a long time. The idea of, the multiverse and infinite recurring universes, it's very difficult to think about. I think a part of it, right, is just that our brains as human beings are not really wired for doing it. I think it's difficult because I think for human beings, like I'm a Christian, and therefore I do believe that you can have a personal relationship with God. But at the same time, I do think in some sense, there's some kind of like mystery to it, in the sense that I just think like a human being trying to fully understand God is almost like the same as like an ant trying to understand human concepts like, currency and nationalism and all these sorts of things, right? Okay, Bad Empanada, kill yourself. Seriously. Bad Empanada, he's threatening to dox my former address and stuff like that. Good on you. Your concern notice was dog shit. Enjoy the storm to come over there. Green. Oh, yeah, he's talking. Dude, I used to live there 3 years ago. I used to live there like 5 years ago. I lived at that. Yeah, okay. He's threatening to, Bad Empanada's threatening to report my stream. Dude, he literally just threatened to dox me. He threatened to dox my old address. When he's referencing Green, he's talking about Green Road. My family used to live there like 5 years ago. Just a truly sick guy, guys. A truly sick guy. Bad Empanada, you're a worthless piece of scum. Everybody hates you. And I will actually destroy you eventually. I will absolutely destroy you. His heart is beating. No, it's not. No, it's not. You're absolute scum. You're absolutely scum, George. George Angelos Jihadist. George Angelos Jihadist. George Angelos Jihadist. That's his real name. I've got his passport. I've got his address. I've got everything on him. But I don't release it because I'm not sick like him. Bad Empanada is threatening to release my personal address. I have his address. I don't release it because I'm not a sick guy. Yeah, try leaving your shithole country, Bad Empanada. Actually, you will be doing that very shortly, Bad Empanada. You'll enjoy what we've got in store for you. Some great legal stuff coming up for you, Bad Empanada. Good on you, George. George the Human STD. Drew, the Empanada post just pull you into the mud, and when you're in the mud, you're in the mire. Can't be ignored. Yeah, you know what? You know what? I'll actually block him. I'll ban him from the chat. He's a sick guy. Sick guy, guys. He's a sick guy. Bad Empanada. And he was threatening. Yeah, man. Yeah. Bad Empanada, like you are so legally fucked, mate, because of all the stuff you've done over the time, calling for genocide, calling for rape and murder. You're a really sick guy. And honestly, you're fucked. You're long-term really fucked up. Hang on, guys. I'm just going to hang on 1 second. Sorry, guys, I got a call from my dad. Anyway, yeah, it's funny. Bad Empanada joined the stream for a second, tried to threaten to dox me, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Seriously, what a sicko. think we're gonna have some people joining us soon, guys. You know what? Let's bring up my YouTube video on Bad Empanada. That's a good one. Let's do that. Just really rub it in. We'll watch the video. I just want to say before I attacked him or said anything back to him, he was threatening to post my address. So honestly, fuck him. All right, I'm gonna bring up this video. Let's watch this, guys. Fuck Bad Empanada. Let's just watch it. Beautiful.
One of the worst YouTubers tried to sue.
Let's watch through this because it's a great video, guys. Great video. This was one of my best videos. We're getting some pretty good and we're getting almost 3,000 views. It's pretty good for one of my videos because I've got a small channel so far. Yeah, people fucking hate this guy. They really fucking hate this guy. Let's get up the video. Okay, let's watch it. Okay, I'm gonna bring it up.
One of the worst YouTubers tried to sue me.
Malaki asks, how much money do you make from YouTube? I think this month I made like $150. Like, it's all right. Like it's pretty good. It's better than earning nothing. Like it's still cool to be able to get some money from YouTube, but look, I'm still, in the early phases of it. Twitter's my best one where I get about, in a good month on Twitter, I maybe make more than like $2,000 in Australian money on Twitter, which is really good. Obviously, like that helps me a lot. So yeah, like, look, it's funny because right now I'd say like I can, with the money that I bring in from my social media stuff, it's maybe like, it's like, I guess it's like enough to have it as like a sort of part-time job, but it's not enough for me to like, fully do it full time yet. But I'm hoping that by the end of the year, I'll be able to do this full time so I can make more content and everything. Do you style your hair after David Lynch true? Not really. I don't think so, but I like David Lynch. He's a cool guy. Let's watch the video, guys. Let's watch the video.
I completely destroyed him. Here's how it happened. Now, Bad Empanada is a particularly sick and disgusting Greek, a Greek Australian Hamas supporter living in Buenos Aires. He boasts hundreds of thousands of followers and he's recently been promoted by the single largest online political streamer, Hasan Piker. This is despite the fact that he has explicitly called for the mass murder of all.
Did you guys like how I tried to make Hassan's name sound French? I thought that was pretty funny. But
All Israelis, as well as terrorist attacks against Jewish civilians across the world. This man is responsible for a reign of terror against hundreds of people online. A campaign that has now escalated to the point where human skulls have been sent to the address of famous YouTuber Ethan Klein. Bad Empanada has encouraged this terrifying harassment campaign while boasting about calling child protection services on Ethan simply because his wife is Israeli. In my personal case, Bad Empanada doxed my family members before posting my address and phone number to his followers and literally encouraging them to kill me. Somehow he thought this was a good idea prior to engaging a random no-win, no-fee, Better Call Saul law firm in Australia to try to sue me for defamation of character. This was a huge mistake on his part because I work for one of the best barristers in Australia, Anthony Morris KC, the youngest person appointed silk in the entire Commonwealth in the 20th century. And he's previously represented clients ranging from Australian Prime Ministers to Oasis's Noel Gallagher. Anthony Morris KC sent a letter back to his law firm, basically explaining that it was categorically impossible for Bad Empanada to be defamed by anybody on the planet because his reputation was already so deservedly horrible. We added a letter containing hundreds of his screenshots and his law firm dropped him as a client almost straight away. Now, Bad Empanada loves to threaten people with defamation proceedings. This is actually one of his all-time favorite harassment tactics. And he's used this against dozens of people to try silence their criticism of him. He's now trying to do this against Ethan Klein.
yeah, dude, he's actually oh shit. Yeah, no. He's literally one of the biggest breadtube streamers or podcast YouTubers, right? It's pretty cringe. Yeah, he's Bad Empanada just constantly docs me like, hey Drew, if the Sarlacc pit was real, what do you push back? What's the Sarlacc pit? I don't know what that is. But I think he is a sicko, guys. I do think he's an absolute sicko. That's a Star Wars thing. What is it? I don't actually know what it is. Oh, we'll keep watching it.
Now, because
Drew, have you watched Star Wars before? I've only seen some of the newer ones. I actually haven't seen the originals, which is actually that's my bad. I actually got to go watch it. By the way, guys, it's like this creature that lives in the sand. People get pushed into it as a punishment. Okay, thank you for making me aware of that. By the way, guys, if you're watching on my YouTube stream right now, if you're watching on my Twitter, please go through to my YouTube video on Bad Empanada. Like, comment, help me with the algorithm. It's doing really well actually for one of our videos.
Bad Empanada is so insane, I've decided to open source Anthony Morris's legal letter team. It shows that Bad Empanada has no reputation to be defamed. Remember, when Anthony Morris KC sent this to his law firm, they dropped him as client immediately. Let's start from the beginning. January 2024. Here's his letter. Dear Mr. Pavlu, our client, George Jihadist, defamation, concerns notice. Very fucking official, very serious, guys. We act for Mr. George Jihadist. Watch out. Our client is a prominent Australian social media personality, known for his YouTube videos containing commentary on various political and social issues. Our client first began posting YouTube videos and now has a subscriber base of over 121,000 people. He is also reasonably popular on Twitter with approximately 30,000 followers. Our client received the Don Gibb Royal Historical Society of Victoria Prize in Australian History in 2019. Holy fuck, guys. Watch out. Historical Society of Victoria Prize in Australian History in 2019.
You know what? I'm actually surprised none of my haters have tried to screenshot me smashing the desk and try to be like, oh, Drew was doing a fashion.
It received the Don Gibb Royal Historical Society of Victoria Prize in Australian History in 2019. Holy fuck, guys, watch out. And his videos and writings have been published widely online, including by the literary journal Overland, the online magazine Counterpunch, and independent media outlet Ansainik Fon. Wow, fucking huge. We know that you are also a prominent Australian social media personality. Well said. Followed by approximately
like, holy shit, Bad Empanada, yawn. Nobody cares, man. Literally nobody gives a fuck. Nobody gives a fuck. I'm literally so not scared of you. You already tried everything you could against me and nothing happened. Fuck you. Eat shit. Literally eat shit. It's actually funny. Like literally just eat shit, man. We all hate you. Everybody hates you. You fucking fled Australia to Argentina. You're fucking pathetic. Nobody is scared of Bad Empanada anymore. Nobody is scared of him. He can't do anything. He can't make legal threats anymore. It's fucking over for him.
5,000 people on YouTube and 79,000 people on X. Going to defamatory imputation. It is our client's position that by virtue of the offending publications, he has been defamed by you. Watch out. The offending publications carry or likely carry the following defamatory imputations against our client. A, that he has committed one or more crimes warranting arrest. B, that he holds or has held illegal or improper material on his hard drive. C, that he has committed one or more crimes warranting deportation. D, that he is involved with the brutal guerrilla group, The Shining Path. E, that he is a rapist. Well said. F, that he is a murderer. Well said. G, that he is a terrorist.
Yeah, it's actually very
I, that he is a predator.
That he went
J, that he's in favor of rape. Today, you have failed to apologize publicly or
Very
otherwise.
well said that.
Yup, that'd be right.
You hating
For publishing the offending publications or publish any retraction or correction of the defamatory imputations. Yes, again, that would be right because they're all true.
I'd be
Pursuant
concerned
to
about
Section
food
42 of the
contract.
Act, we are instructed to demand and hereby demand that within 28 days of the date you were served with this concerns notice, you will make a suitable offer to make amends to our client, which includes the following. And this part's brilliant, guys. Really, we really need to emphasize this. A suitably worded apology to our client, first approved by our client. B, an agreement that you will refrain from repeating, circulating, or publishing the offending publications. Again, watch out, guys. C, an agreement that you will, within 48 hours of acceptance of this offer, to remove all videos, posts, comments, and other publications about Mr. Empanada, including the offending publication that you have published online in relation to our client or its products. E, I love how it's just literally a template because what fucking products does Bad Empanada offer, mate? E, an offer to pay our client compensation for loss suffered. And F, an offer to pay our client's costs in respect of the preparation and service of this notice in the sum of $4,238.72. Holy fuck. If you fail to properly respond to this notice and address our client's concerns within the timeframe stipulated above, we will take instructions to commence court proceedings against you pursuant to the Act, i.e. upon the expiry of 28 days of receipt of this notice without further notice. Now, friends, it's been 16 months since I received that terrifying, scary letter. I have yet to be taken to court by Bad Empanada. He's yet to commence defamation proceedings against me. Why might that be? Well, unfortunately for him, I had Anthony Morris KC step in to represent me pro bono for free because he agrees with my cause. First, I want to just quickly note my response. Dear Sir, Madam, Mr. Pavlou is currently out of office until the 32nd
This is how you
of February.
talk to people.
We will endeavor to respond at the earliest.
This is how you should talk to people, with the respect that they deserve. You should talk to them with the respect they deserve.
Convenience. Best regards, wishes. Alexander Matthew Timley Phillips, the 24th. XVI, personal assistant to Mr. Pavlou. Feast day of St. David Galvan Bermudez, martyr of the Mexican Revolution. Quote, what greater glory is there than to die?
Good point, John McElroy, but I mean, he literally came into this chat and started to threaten to dox my address. It's hard to ignore that, right?
Saving a soul. St. David on his way to minister to the wounded in a firefight. How beautiful. That was a great message, I think. I think they would have enjoyed receiving that. Now we come to Anthony Morris's letter in reply, which is one of the best letters I've ever read in my entire life. Re Drew Pavlou and George Gonitis. I represent Mr. Drew Pavlou, and he has asked me to respond to your letter of 30 January 2024, purporting to be a concerns notice pursuant to Section 12A of the defamation.
Can you guys just imagine how mentally ill Bad Empanada is? That he like logs onto my stream with all these people watching it, and he's like literally just starts threatening to dox my address with his own account. Like, he thinks he's just above the law. He thinks he's above anything. We should all report him to YouTube for that.
Defamation Act 2005, Queensland. Mr. Pavlou has provided me with detailed instructions regarding the assertions contained in your letter. However, I find it is unnecessary to engage with all the details contained in a lengthy and somewhat repetitive item of correspondence. That is because Mr. Pavlou has no intention of making amends, either in the manner demanded in your letter or at all. If your client chooses to institute proceedings for defamation, Mr. Pavlou will defend those proceedings and will also counterclaim on the grounds canvassed below. No reputation capable of being harmed. Despite the rodomontade contained in your letter under the subheadings background and serious harm, Mr. Pavlou is satisfied that your client enjoys no reputation in Queensland, which is capable of being injured by the identified publication. Your letter mentions that your client received the Don Gibb Royal Historical
True, he's more of a psychopath than mentally ill.
Society of Victoria Prize in Australian History in 2019. This prize is largely unknown in Queensland, and any weight which may be given to it as enhancing your client's reputation would depend on the selection criteria for this prize, as well as evidence of its reputational value. More significantly, your letter states that your client is willing to provide sworn evidence. Our client is gratified to receive this assurance, as he intends to defend any proceedings on the basis that any reputation which your client may enjoy and any harm which that reputation may have suffered must be viewed in the light of your client's remarks as published to a substantial following on social media. Needless to say, your client will be thoroughly cross-examined on these matters at trial. Without at this stage foreshadowing all of the topics which Mr. Pavlou will plead by way of defense, I attach a bundle of posts made by your client under the pseudonym Bad Empanada. I note that your letter under reply contains explicit admissions that your client is the person behind that name. Collectively, these posts are capable of supporting conclusions that your client, one, has expressed his open support to describe terrorist organizations, including Al-Qaeda, Hamas, and Hezbollah. Two, is an anti-Semite who has called for the mass murder of millions of Jews across the world and who regularly dehumanizes and mocks people of the Jewish faith. Three, regularly defends, makes light of, or mocks horrific atrocities like the Uyghur genocide, the Holodomor, the Russian raising of Mariupol, the Bosnian genocide, and the terrorist mass murder campaign carried out by the Shining Path in Peru. 4, has called on his followers to carry out indiscriminate terror attacks against American and Israeli civilians and has called for the killing of both Israeli and American servicemen and veterans, often in an extremely gruesome fashion. 5, has called on his followers to assassinate the President of the United States.
Like, this is just him straight up calling for Biden to be assassinated. I don't see how that can be legal.
America, as well as
literally telling people to go get weapons and kill people.
Numerous other elected American officials. 6, has joked about Hamas raping or assaulting Israeli women and girls and has thereby condoned the use by Hamas of rape as a weapon of war. 7, has joked about Hamas molesting or assaulting Israeli infants and children and has thereby condoned such molestation and assaults and their use as a weapon of war. 8, has regularly threatened to kill online critics of Hamas as well as other political commentators on YouTube and Twitch. 9, has committed or alternatively has been identified by authorities in Argentina as a person who has committed one or more crimes warranting arrest. 10, has committed or alternatively has been identified by authorities in Argentina as a person who has committed one or more crimes warranting deportation. 11, hold or has held illegal or improper material on his hard drive. 12, regularly threatens to post the names and addresses of his online critics as a tactic to silence and intimidate people whose political views are different from his own. 13, has sent death threats to Mr. Pavlou and has openly bragged about commencing illegitimate and unmeritorious defamation proceedings against him as a brazen cash grab. 14, has falsely referred to Mr. Pavlou as a rapist and a pedo and thereby defamed him and openly admitted to having regularly invented such false allegations as smears against those whom he opposes politically. 15, has a long history of publicly endorsing child abuse, rape, mass murder, and genocide through his posts, thereby demonstrating that he is a deeply amoral and antisocial individual who poses.
Yeah, he's just Bad Empanada is somebody who fantasizes about raping and killing people, and he's a really sick person. He's a really sick person. He's a Nazi.
It's a very real danger to society. Very well said, Mr. Morris KC. Going on, there are no fake posts, despite the assertion which you.
And it's very funny that he talks such shit online, but when push came to shove, he just collapsed. He literally gave up on the lawsuit against me because Tony Morris destroyed him and his law firm dropped him.
You have made on instructions, Mr. Pavlou has not and would not create forged or confected posts, whether in the name of your client or in the name of anyone else. All other considerations aside, your client has more than sufficiently demonstrated his true character by posts which he has made without Mr. Pavlou's having to create additional examples. Well said. Why would I have to invent new tweets to attack Bad Empanada when these tweets already exist? In any event, if your client seriously intends to conduct such a case, Mr. Pavlou would invite him to preserve his hard drive in its current condition and have it sealed and notarized so that it may be subjected to proper forensic examination when he comes to Australia for the purpose of testifying at the trial. And this is the best part. Tony used this letter as a kind of Uno reverse card to advance my own counterclaim against Mr. Gonitis. As previously mentioned, should your client choose to institute proceedings, Mr. Pavlou will be counterclaiming for the harm caused to him by your client's publications, falsely accusing him of being a rapist and a pedo. For the purpose of Section 12A of the Act, this letter constitutes a concern notice on behalf of Mr. Pavlou. Moving on.
Viettrans asking what happened. So Bad Empanada used his official account, logged in here, and just started threatening to post my address. So just absolute schizo.
The harm that the person considers to be serious harm to the person's reputation caused or likely to be caused by the publication of the matter in question, extreme harm to Mr. Pavlou's reputation having regard to the size of your client's online readership, your client standing as the winner of a prize in history as an author. That's so good. And just to really Uno reverse card them, Tony uses the claims about Bad Empanada's amazing reputation to say, well, actually, that makes his defamation of Drew Pavlou very serious indeed. For the harm that the person considers to be serious harm to the person's reputation caused or likely to be caused by the publication of the matter in question, extreme harm to Mr. Pavlou's reputation having regard to A, the size of your client's online readership, B, your client's standing as the winner of a prize in history and as an author published in various hard copy and online publications. Mr. Pavlou's position as a prominent Australian social media personality expressly admitted in paragraph 7 of your letter, and also as a former candidate for election to the Australian Senate, a political activist, a prize-winning student at the University of Queensland, and a person who has been widely profiled in respected Australian and international publications, and D, the principal also expressly acknowledged in your letter that it has long been held by the Australian courts that to be called a pedophile is one of the worst possible things that could be said about someone if it were untrue. Yours sincerely, Anthony J.H. Morris, KC. What a letter. What a beautiful letter.
It's the best letter I've
Now,
ever written.
2 weeks after sending that letter, Tony Morris followed up with his lawyers. And that's when we determined that Bad Empanada had completely capitulated.
Total capitulation.
Re Drew Pavlou and George Gonitis. I refer to my letter of 23rd February 2024, to which I have received no response. Given that a fortnight has passed since you received that letter, I should imagine that you have had sufficient time to take any necessary instructions. Can you please advise, A, whether Mr. Gonitis has any response to the concerns and notice given on behalf of Mr. Pavlou, B, whether Mr. Gonitis intends to institute defamation proceedings as foreshadowed in your letter of 30 January 2024, and C, if not, whether you have instruction to accept service of defamation proceedings to be instituted by Mr. Pavlou against Mr. Gonitis. Yours sincerely, Anthony J.H. Morris, KC.
You know what's actually ironic here? When Bad Empanada received my letter, he caved, and he caved in a very substantial way, almost in the same way that Yahya Sinwar's skull was caved in by the IDF. Yahya Sinwar, the leader of Hamas. And, that really sucks. That really sucks for these Hamas supporters.
Now, that was the end of it. They never replied. They dropped him as a client, and we never heard from him again. Now, in conclusion, I published this legal exchange and this debunking in the hope that it may be of some use to anybody terrorized by Bad Empanada in the future. This guy's legitimately a moral, political, and spiritual terrorist. And he thinks that he has total impunity because he lives in Argentina where the civil court system is broken. Remember, terrorists only have power if you give them power over you. Never capitulate to his terrorist tactics. Hold strong, call his bluff, and he will fold like he folded above. Thank you so much. Most blessed wishes, Alexander Matthew Timley, Phillips XVI, personal assistant, Mr. Pavlou, April 23rd.
Yeah, Bad Empanada, he caved after receiving my letter very similarly to the way that Yahya Sinwar's skull was caved in. And Yahya Sinwar's skull was just really caved the fuck in.
2025, the feast day of holy, glorious, great martyr and victory bearer and wonder worker George. Behold, I have given you authority to tread upon serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall hurt you. The Gospel of St. Luke 10:19. Thank you. Signing off.
Beautiful. What a great video. Guys, if you want to help me reach more people, give it a like, comment, subscribe.
An
and,
update on that.
And share it around. Share it around. Go on Reddit, share it around. Help me reach more people. It's really good because we just want more people to see this and realize how sick this evil person is. What do leftists offer the world other than sarcasm and being condescending? They're so dumb. Well, look, I'd say there are some okay leftists, but really the Bad Empanada types, they just are really fully evil. You know, they're just fully evil. Larry Nassar is the physiotherapist, I think, who was working with the US women's gymnastics team, and he abused hundreds of women, including underage girls, like literally a pedo rapist. Yeah, and you know what, Bad Empanada he really deserves to be in the same. He should be in the same cell, the same prison cell. It would be very fitting if these two rapists were in the same prison cell, I think. What do you guys think? What do you think of that? Would that be poetic justice? Let's go through Twitter a little bit. I was going to have Shagzadeh on, but I think, unfortunately, it won't work today. But hopefully tomorrow, maybe. Hopefully we do that tomorrow. I didn't know Gazans were Zionists, Bad Empanada. Didn't they organize some big protest against Hamas recently? Any comments on that? Yeah, so this guy's so sick that he would literally oppose the Palestinians in Gaza who are protesting against Hamas. He would call them Zionists. He would probably hope that they get killed by Hamas. He's a really sick guy. He doesn't believe in, he doesn't believe in Palestinian rights. He doesn't believe in Palestinian lives or anything like that. For Bad Empanada wants the war to continue until the very last Palestinian. He wants an endless race war. He doesn't care about Palestinians living good lives. He doesn't care about Palestinians, surviving. He just wants total endless race war for his just mentally ill, anti-Jewish, psychotic, worldview. And he just doesn't care about the people that he claims to care about. He doesn't care about Palestinians. If he cared about Palestinians, he wouldn't advocate a total endless apocalyptic jihad against Israel, would he? He would call for peace. If he cared about Palestinian lives, if he cared about Palestinians, he would call for peace. He would support the Palestinians in Gaza who are protesting against Hamas. Guys, please go and report Bad Empanada's account. He was threatening to dox my address in this stream, so please go there and report his account. He was threatening to report me because I responded to him by telling him to F himself. Please go and report him before he reports us, because I think he needs to be reported for threatening to dox people in this chat. Considering Bad Empanada has been shown to hold pedophilic views, it would be fitting for him to be in the same jail cell as Larry Nassar. Very well said, Yusuf. Very well said. I think that's a very, very well articulated and eloquent thing. I think that's really good. Thank you so much, guys, for those who've been reporting Bad Empanada. I think that's a really good thing. We all need to just stand up to this terrorist. Dude, how sad is this, right? Burkina Faso awards gold mine permit to Russia's Nordgold. So, just Russian colonialism good, Western colonialism bad, but please, Russia, please come in and just make us suffer, make my people suffer. That's every African junta regime that works with Russia basically ends up fucking over their own people in order to stay in power. So they bring in the Wagner's troops, they help Wagner, they ask Wagner to kill people. Let me bring up some Wikipedia stuff on the Agbado massacre. This is Wagner. This is what Wagner did in Russia, killing 65 people in Central African Republic. So there are some statistics that some studies have shown that up to 5% of the population in Central African Republic may have died in the recent civil war there, which is, per capita, that is an extremely deadly civil war. And, Wagner was very intimately involved in that. And so what we're talking about there is pure Russian genocide against Africans in the Central African Republic. And somehow, who knows why, leftists don't care about it, because Russia is anti-West and they only really hate the West at the end of the day. It's the same with Hasan, it's the same with Bad Empanada. All they care about at the end of the day is just complaining about America and complaining about the West and just sulking and crying online about how the West is so bad, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, Russia goes into Africa, literally massacres like entire villages as part of like, wars for mineral rights, working with corrupt junta regimes, massacring entire villages as part of their efforts to try and steal mineral rights and stuff. And then all these leftists are like, oh, nothing to see here, nothing to see here. And that's the tanky left for you. Russian mercenaries in Sudan. What is the Wagner Group's role? The Russian mercenary group has been accused of plundering Sudan's gold resources to bankroll operations in Ukraine. Yeah, it's literally the most pure imperialism you will ever see, but lefts will not talk about it. Left will not talk about it because it's very inconvenient for them, because in their worldview, America bad, Russia bad, therefore never talk about things. No, in their worldview, America really bad. Anyone who's against the West must be okay. Therefore, don't talk about the terrible things that Russia does. That's the West. That's the Western tanky worldview, right? They just hate themselves. They hate their own societies, and that's very similar to that guy whose mother, I believe, was a senior figure at the CIA, and he went over to Russia and he literally joined a Russian brigade to go fight because he wanted to he hated America so much. He wanted to just go kill Americans. This was some tanky in America, and yeah, like he ended up dying fighting for Russia, and it's like, this is what all these tankies are like. They just hate America. He threatened to dox you. I didn't time him out because of freedom of speech. Something a tanky wouldn't understand. Yeah, so the first thing he came in, he said, I'm going to release my legal letter to you in full. And that legal letter included my former address like 5 years ago. And so I obviously just cut that out of my video, and he said, I'm posting in full. And he was making references to greens. He was like, there's going to be a green storm to you. The reason he said that was because the address that I used to live at 5 years ago was at a green road, right, in Brisbane. And so yeah, he was threatening to release. He thought it was my family's address. He thought I still lived there. He was threatening to post that address, and he's already posted that address multiple times. I literally moved I've moved house like 3 times since then. But yeah. Like he literally came in and just started threatening to dox me. And so I told him to off himself, and then he started going, "Oh, that's a threat of death and violence. I'm going to report your stream. I'm going to get you banned from YouTube." Fucking bullshit, seriously. Like, I was responding to someone straight up threatening to post my address, right? Russian mercenaries in Sudan is the new white colonialism in Africa, considering that this also involves white people invading and raiding black villages. Yeah, literally, it's so obvious, right? But then all these mentally ill, third worldist, crazy psychos, the MAGA third world, all these third worlders are like, wow, Russia is anti-West. When Russia slaughters an entire village of Africans to steal their mineral rights, they're doing it in a global South third worldist way. And just fucking stupid. Drew, are we ignoring that the entire MAGA wing supports Russia? Yeah, it's both tankies on the far left, and then it's the entire MAGA wing on the far right, right? It's just the extremes who hate the West. The commonality, right? The commonality is that both the MAGA guys and the far left really hate America. They really, really look down upon America. They think America is a disgusting country. That's both MAGA and the far left for you. And that's why they end up supporting Russia. That's why they end up supporting all this insane shit, right? Because they hate their own country that much. MAGA doesn't care about Russians in Africa. They're abandoning Africa to Russia now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. I wonder if Bad Empanada believes that vaccines cause autism. Horseshoe theory. Yeah, we should ask him. We should ask him. I mean, yeah, he's just a total mentally insane guy. He fled to Argentina. He thinks that because he's in Argentina, he's got total impunity to just terrorize people. That's what he thinks, right? And he's a sick guy. And yeah, straight up, like, just evil as, and yeah, I'll be opposed to him until the end of the earth, right? I will always be so opposed to him. And he's gonna face some legal actions in the future, and I think we're gonna bring him down. He's just a really sick and evil guy. And I think we're going to legally bring him down through the courts, because you can't get away doxing people, threatening to kill people for years and years and years. You can't get away with that, right? I'll be clear. My means of destroying Bad Empanada, I want to take purely legal means through the courts. Good thing he's sub 80 IQ, and doesn't have the swag of Hasan or other bad actors. Yeah, so he's just trying to dox me and posting my old number and shit like that. Just stupid. Just a fucking idiot, honestly. Bad Empanada is a public enemy. Very well said. I absolutely agree with that. I think Bad Empanada is a public enemy. Seriously. MAGA blames America for everything. They play half-court tennis when analyzing world events, and so does the far left. Yeah, it's true. They just at the end of the day, they just hate America, and that's the thing that unites like MAGA and the far left, the tankies, and that's why at the end of the day, they just hate the West so much, and everything they do is about trying to destroy the West. That's how it works. That's how it works. It's actually extremely sad. Extremely sad. Thank you everyone for watching. I think we've got 26 people on YouTube live right now. Guys, consider subscribing, please. We've got 3,050 subscribers right now. I'm really building up my it's good. We're building up the subscriber base and everything, and I encourage everybody to go and subscribe. Hang on, I'll bring up my subscribe page. So guys, if you're watching right now, go to my YouTube and subscribe. We've got 8,050 subscribers. We've gained about I think almost 1,500 over the past 2 months. So I'm really hoping that we'll be able to hit exponential growth a couple months time and end the year with a really good record. That's the goal. That's the goal, right? I'm going to really be putting so much effort into YouTube rather than Twitter now, because last year I was just like really putting everything into Twitter, and now I want to try and do that with YouTube. Drew, he just released your number on the Twitter live stream. It's my old number. What can I do? What can I do, right? He posts my old number. He's a fucking schizo. He's a fucking schizo. And I tried to delete his comment, but I don't think you can delete Twitter comments. So what can I do? He's just a sicko, right? It's my old number. What can I do? But yeah, guys, thank you so much. I think I might end the stream here because we've just hit 3 hours, which is a pretty good effort. You know, I've done 15 streams in 15 days, which is a good record. We're making a good effort. 15 streams in 15 days. I want to try to do 100 days. So I'm 15% of the way there. 100 streams in 100 days is the goal. If I can hit that, I really hope that, you know, I hope that by the time I'm reaching up to 100 streams in 100 days, I hope the audience will be building up a lot as well, more subscribers and stuff like that. Yeah, so guys, you'll reach 10K subs in no time. Thank you, man. I really hope so. I think on the current trajectory, I think we'd hit 10K within a month or two. So I hope we get that. Trying to be humble with it right now, because you know I've got a really good audience on Twitter, 160K there, but on YouTube it's just a lot smaller, only about 8,000. And one of the hard things is that you know, Elon basically banned Twitter links. He banned like linking to outside. He just made it so that when you post links to other websites, basically the post will just reach like far less people than it ordinarily would reach. So it's really hard to get your people on Twitter onto your YouTube and everything. So it's an uphill battle, but we're making an effort. We're making good effort, and I'm just grinding it out right now. We've had about 15 days of streaming now, and I'll just keep on doing it every day. And I think honestly, when Hasan started out, he was on 20 people watching him live, you know, for like the first couple of months. So it's everyone, right? It's everyone. Everyone starts out somewhere. Got to just start somewhere, but we're gonna get there. I honestly believe in the mission. Guys, if you've been watching and you support it, please consider, just going through and subscribing. Got the screenshot, B, have fun with it. Yeah, so he's doxed me and we'll report him for that. I love how he and Hasan always pull the big influencers, oppress and bully the little guy. Excuse, boohoo, kiddo. You're just being used as the little flex slide, pass around as a weapon to dox. Yeah, dude. Look, like, I'm a literally smaller account and he's still going after me. So what the fuck? There's nothing that you can do. He just is a psycho guy. He's a fully psycho guy. But yeah, guys, listen, subscribe to the YouTube, hit like on the video. And yeah, just like tell people to, tell people that we're going to be streaming every day. I'm going to try do it, friendly time, North American time. So about 10 o'clock at Brisbane time. I think that'll be like 7 o'clock East ET. Did I miss the end of the stream? Thanks for joining, Ringo. I was about to head out, to be honest, because I've done it for 3 hours now. Ferris, that's a completely made up, disgusting tweet by Bad Empanada. He actually said that shit. He actually posted that shit. I screenshotted it and posted it. And because I posted it and it went viral, he made it up and tried to accuse me of doing it. So he's a sicko. He's an absolute sicko. He's a sick person. And he's always constantly talking about pedophilia, rape, all this horrific stuff. He's an evil guy. But yeah, guys, listen, I'm going to be calling it a day here because I've been streaming for 3 hours. I know some of the big streamers stream for like 6-7 hours a day, but I'm not at the level where I can do that yet. Oh, okay, just wanted your POV. Let me actually tell you what happened there. Bad Empanada had a post where he was talking about, he sexualized Jewish kids who were killed on October 7th. It was actually sick. It was a disgusting thing. I posted that screenshot, and because I posted that, he got a lot of backlash, and because of that, he then literally just copied the exact same screenshot and started posting my picture above it saying that I did it. So it's a full lie. It's just a full Bad Empanada lie, and you can just see this guy lies all the time. But yeah, no, thanks guys for joining in. Ringo, thanks for joining, mate. Night. And yeah, thanks guys. I'll be streaming hopefully the same time around tomorrow. I'll be streaming American time. I'll start streaming at a time that's more, more favorable to a North American audience, because that's probably where most of my following is these days. And yeah, guys, please remember to subscribe to my channel, like the videos, help me reach more people. Cheers, guys. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Have a great day. Thank you, lads.